What is going on, guys? It is your girl LP, and we are back for another rendition of the Sunday Sit Down, a new section of the Eargasm where we give the opportunity to sit down and talk about music business, music relations, music, anything that's worth talking about. Uh, I am a little bit early today. I wanted to give the opportunity for people to get this shared out, to get this just up and open, and tag people who you feel like need to be in here. Again, I know I am a little bit early, and that's okay. I just want to make sure that everybody that wants to be here has the opportunity to be in the chat, to get this really good and really dope information that we're going to be going over today. As you can see by the title and by the screen that you're currently looking at, we will be talking and having Diggy Diamond as the co-host on today's show. We're going to start right from the beginning. We're going to talk about in the in-betweens. I have some documentation for you guys that we're going to take a look at to give people who are better visual learners an opportunity to see that as well, because I know for me personally it's easier for me to see it when I have it in front of me, and it's easier for me to understand. So I do have Diggy, and he is now active over here in the chat. I see you, King Cash. What's going on, man? Good to see you. So Diggy asked that if you have questions, ask them as we go along, depending on the section that we are in. If you are in the building, please let me know. Say what's up so I can gather an idea of who's in the building. I want to make sure that I'm keeping up with everybody and keeping up with everyone's questions as well. So make sure you let me know that you're in the building. Say what's up. Today is not music. Today we're just going to be discussing a very important topic of royalties and how to get those going correctly. So if you're in here, please make sure that you take a second to share the live. Today is not a music review. I want to make that very clear, just in case anybody was expecting that. Sundays will always be about music talk, music business, whatever the case is. Shout out to Andre in the building. Shout out to James. Make sure you guys go ahead and get this shared out. I kind of want to give it a little bit, couple minutes, but right now I guess I'll go ahead and I'm going to try to get Diggy set up on the interview so we can at least say, hey, what's up, how you going, and he can kind of talk about himself before we actually start diving into this stuff. So again, make sure we get this shared out. Make sure that we've got everybody in here that we need to have, that you feel needs to see this. Your sharing helps me get it out because I have too many things going on my screen. So let me get the call going with Diggy, and we'll pull him up on the stream while you guys get this shared out. I hope you brought some good questions, and we're going to get this going. So let me call Diggy. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully he answers the phone. Diggy forgot that he's got an interview. You hear me talking shit, Diggy? I'm like, he forgot he has an interview. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Your video went away, but there you are again. I can give you a second to get situated if you need it. While he's getting that situated, shout out to everybody in the comments right now. Carolina Mike said, I have a great story on how you can make around $15 per song per performance on a live stream.
What's up? I'm trying to do this on my laptop, and I see it on my laptop right now, but it's not connecting for some reason.
It's not what?
It's not connecting on my laptop. Even though it shows.
Do you want to just do it on your phone like we had planned originally, if it's easier?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can see me and everything like that. That's fine.
Yeah,
so
we can see you.
So
All
that's
right.
cool.
Are you able to move your laptop away from you just a little bit, or no?
Is it feedbacking?
No, you're just really close to your face.
Yeah, like that. That's cool.
Pull the camera down a little bit, or like push the. Yep, right there. Boom,
Right
perfect.
there.
Yeah,
Okay. I should put it like this.
yeah.
Okay, wait. No.
I'm just trying to get it straight on my end too. I can adjust. Yeah, that's
Cool.
perfect. That's perfect.
Cool. Okay. I thought this will work. I mean, I have my second screen, but for some reason, I think because my phone's connected, I
Hmm.
guess. So, very weird. But then, yeah, for that, I'll just watch the video on my laptop.
There you go. That'll absolutely work. Absolutely work. So, Diggy, tell people who you are, what you do, your fortes, your expertise, so they can, if they're not familiar with you, they can kind of get an idea of who you are.
Yeah, so basically, I'm a music producer, and and a music publisher, educator. I mean, I'm not like the master at anything, but I do help people teach music publishing, and also let people know, how they can collect their royalties and stuff like that, and also just the situational things and how to handle just artist etiquette, because a lot of people don't know how to handle it a lot. Like a lot of people just act like, not act like, but they think they know, but some people they in the right direction and then they find out something that's like, oh man, I just messed up everything for the whole like century or everything. So it's better to know a lot of things now ahead than finding out later at time, because this is a very important. Like a lot of things can be fixed, but a lot of things will give you headaches if you don't do it the right way the first time. So that's
Abs-
really important to know.
Absolutely. So, where do you want to start? Do we want to start it off where it's like, "Hi, I'm LP, and I would like to register uphill battle. What are
Right.
my first steps?"
Okay. Yeah. So we could do it that way. So basically, let me pull up my thing,
Do you
and
want
if
me
you
to?
want to pull it up too.
Which
Yeah.
one?
So actually pull up the PDF file,
The
and I
PDF
want to
file.
actually, yeah, it's the music publishing,
Okay.
modern guide to music publishing.
Yep. So
So
give me 1 second so I can do a share. You want me to share my screen?
yeah, that's fine. That's definitely fine. So even
Okay.
I'm gonna look at it on my screen, but that's definitely what I want you to do, because I'm gonna look at it, and then I want people to look at it too, so they know what I'm talking about.
All right. Give me 1 second here so I can share my screen. So you guys got to bear with us because we're trying to do all this live and get all the stuff that you need to follow along with us. Um, let me see. I don't want settings. I want share screen. Here it is. Okay. So that is
Share
the
screen.
screen that I want.
There we go.
All
Okay,
right.
that's
So
what's up.
you can see it, but they can't. So give me 1 second because I got to go over to my this program here and go to full. Okay, so you
Gotcha.
guys are gonna hear Diggy, but you're not gonna see him at this point because we've got this up on the screen. Now, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. You can tell me
Exactly.
where you would like me to start on this page, but let me
Okay.
know.
Okay. So we're gonna go down to actually um keep going down where it says breaking down the composition of a song.
Okay, here it is, right here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah, and then go a little down further. And yes, right there, bow, music publishing. And that's why I want to start off. What the what is music publishing? And I want to have layman's terms too, because I don't want people I don't want to confuse people and stuff. So where it says highlighted in music publishing, basically music publishing refers to the business of making money as a copyright holder of your music you write, right? And that goes in many ways. By law of the copyright um as a law, when you publish your music, you have every full right, no matter what. Actually, let me just take it back. Let me digress for a second. When you make something off the bat, if you write it, if you play an instrument, and it's your intellectual property, as soon as it is an intangible um, intellectual property that you made and you fully express it or whatever, you by law have the right to own it, and also you're your own publisher. That's just point blank right there. So that is music publishing in a nutshell. It's just the business itself to get your royalties for all these entities that that want your music, or you're putting your music in out there and everything like that. Fine.
right.
So that's easy, right? Okay, so we're gonna scroll back up, move your thing up. We're gonna go to two halves of a song.
Two halves of a song. Is that
Yeah,
there? It is. Okay.
here you go. Okay, so we'll go down a little bit. Cool. So this is the thing that confuses a lot of people because people got to understand it's two halves of it's two halves of a song, but it's also, let's just say this. So it's two halves of a composition, right? And the composition is the lyrics and the melody. So you put that together, that makes the song. And that in a sense is your intellectual property in a sense. So with that being said, that now when you come to the publishing part, it's two halves of a song, meaning it's two different types of publishing. So one's the publishing, one is the royalties for the composition, and the other one is the master recording. And then as you see on the left side, it says composition publishing. So the performance royalties and the mechanical royalties are your royalties that you get paid for your intellectual property. That is for your tangible coming up with. You could be an instrumentalist and you could play like a jazz musician and stuff like that. And you could play some nice, whole song without no words or anything like that. You still have this protection of the composition which you're publishing. You can still get performance and mechanical royalties for yourself for that. So that's that half, right? And the master recording on the right side, it's something we all should know, or vet artists should know what a master is, right? It's easy as playing as a recorded song.
Right.
So with your master, that's a whole other type of royalties. And usually with master royalties, it usually gets paid by one entity. We'll get on to that when we get to the slideshows over right there. But usually a master recording gets a certain type of royalty, and a composition royalty usually gets another type of royalty. And you can get all those royalties at once. So
got it.
Cool, right? So now since we understand the basis of kind of in the sense of what is the music publishing business and that two halves of a song. So LP, you're trying to register a song, right? And let's just say you said Uphill Battle is the one that you want to do, right?
Yes. So where
So
do I start?
exactly. So you can start in two ways. Usually the traditional way is people like to copyright their stuff, which is good. You should copyright your things. That I remember Pressure Pooch, that is like a grand master of like music publishing in sense. He has so much years and he was very informative. And we've been talking forever, for like a year or so, like on and off. He's been giving me insight and certain stuff and everything. The thing he told me was that you don't have to copyright if if it doesn't make sense to you, and if you do, just make sure that you still publish it at the end of the day, because even though copywriting is very important and gives you protection for your work, publishing is just as important, because you want to make sure that you publish it in these entities, your pro and other societies, so you can get your royalties correct, because copyright is just making sure that you have full protection of the law, that nobody will ever steal your work.
Right. And if
So
they do, you can go after them.
exactly. So if you want to register and publish your stuff, there's a couple of things you want to make sure. So the first thing you want to do is register to a pro. And a pro is either ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC. But CSAC, you have to be invited. So unless you're one of those special people that people are looking at, then CSAC will invite you to CSAC.
So I'm going to ask you to say that again. A pro is
A,
what companies?
a pro is BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC.
BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC. And do you have
Yeah,
to be a part of all of them, or can you be a part of just one?
you only by law can be a part of one.
Okay.
So yes, you only go be a part of one, and BMI and NASCAP is the ones that you can sign up for. And BMI, you can sign up for free as a songwriter, and to be a publisher in BMI, you have to pay $150 to be a sole proprietary publisher.
So
With ASCAP,
let's touch on that real quick before you keep going.
yes.
I know we're kind of covering a lot of stuff, but guys, this will be available for playback. What is the big difference between not paying the $150 and pay? Who would the $150 benefit for them to actually go that route?
So the $150 would benefit to actually go that route for the people that want to claim their publishing royalties. Because if you're not a publisher on these pros, you do not get publishing royalties for your performance
And your
royalties.
mechanical, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the mechanical, you can get mechanicals, but you also got to make sure you sign up for that society. But that's a whole different thing.
Okay.
We're still on performance.
Sure. All right, continue. I just wanted to kind of ask questions in here. And some of these questions are questions that truly are coming from me as a person, but I also feel like this is a lot of questions that I also see artists ask. So please don't hesitate. If you have a question at any point, put it in the chat and we will address it while we are on the subject.
Definitely, because we need to. So performance. So that's with BMI. So you sign up for free for to be a songwriter, and then after that, if you want to be a publisher, you sign up for $150. I believe it's 5 years for the, as they say, contract. I have to really research that. I'm going to research that because I think it should be perpetual. But I guess somebody was saying last time I was talking to them that they signed up for 5 years and then you have to redo the license for it. And I want to make sure. So just to know that's $150 for that. Okay. But for ASCAP, it's 50 publisher, 50 songwriter, and of course $100 together to do both. It's basically apples and oranges, Burger King, McDonald's. It is no best pro out there. It's a pro is a pro. So don't ever feel like people at ASCAP get more opportunities than people at BMI. It's just two different entities that want to have their own organizations to definitely get people's performance royalties and stuff like that. That's it. So
okay, so we got a couple questions. I'm gonna catch you right there. So James Brown asked, I have Songtrust, Songguard, and TuneCore. Is that enough and a good combination?
So Songtrust is your publisher administrator. So that is definitely covers everything. TuneCore, what they do is they are a distributor that administrates publishing in a sense too. So you may not be doing a just service by having both. You may only need one. And honestly, if you sign up with Songtrust, if you sign up with Songtrust, you do not need TuneCore publishing. You just could use the distributing TuneCore and you'd be all right.
Okay. So hopefully that answered that question. And then Sound Minds asked, dumb question. By the way, no dumb questions because it needs to be asked.
Yep.
What is the definition of a publisher?
So a definition of a publisher is it's a little bit of a vast kind of thing because you're your own publisher at the end of the day. And you can publish your own music and be your own publisher. So basically it's the person or the entity that publishes your music. So it's not a dumb question because you can sign with a publishing company and give out your publishing rights. And now they're your publisher. You can be with Songtrust and have them administrate your publishing. They're not owning it, but they're administrating your publishing. So they take a percentage with Songtrust. They take a percentage for administrating for the service fee, but they already tell you that they're not owning the publishing. So it all depends on your situation.
Okay, and then one other person. So Ben is from another country. So he was asking. He said, "Okay, so is this all for the U.S. and not Europe? Because I know in different countries they have, like Dirk Devin has a it's similar to BMI, but it's a different name. I can't remember.
Yes.
So I'll let you.
Every country has their pros basically, and for you to collect performance royalties in your country, you need to sign up with their pro in their country. You can collect U.S. royalties if you're in a different country, but I believe if you sign up with a lot of pros in different countries, they work with BMI and ASCAP to make sure you don't have to do both. They actually will have like a liaison where, hey, if your things are getting played in the U.S., your pro will collect for you from those two entities, and they'll pay you.
Okay, and then another question came in that said, so is United Masters basically the same? I'm assuming they're talking about United Masters and Songtrust.
No, United Masters is just a distributor. They don't do publishing. If as I know of, they don't have any publisher administration on their site of services.
So when you say distributor, you're referring to them distributing your music to streaming platforms, correct?
Yes, yes,
I think that's where a lot of confusion comes in, is the difference
yes,
between
distributors.
pros, and publishing and all that, and all of that stuff. I think sometimes gets confused.
Definitely. I believe that. So with with that being said, like the people that are in the US, you have to sign up with one or the other. And then even with, just let me make sure also too that people in Canada have SoScan. They definitely have to make sure they sign up with SoScan. And I know SoScan for a fact has ties with BMI and ASCAP to make sure they collect off of that too. So it goes by region, because people in Canada, if you're listening from Canada, definitely I think you're allowed to sign up for ASCAP and BMI still too, but just because it's the same continent, you still in your different countries. So you still want to make sure everything that's played in Canada, you want to be registered in that country too.
Got
So
it. All right, we're gonna take one more question and then we're gonna keep moving forward. So Alan asked, as a music producer, can I still collect royalties by adding my music on streaming platforms along with composition, publishing, and mastering royalties?
of course, you your own publisher and your own copyright holder. It doesn't matter if it has lyrics or not. When you make the beat and you render it out, you by copyright law has ownership of that beat. Now, if you make a song for it, that's a new master. So now you have, and it's, if you did your own thing. So let's just say you have the instrumental version and you started rapping the instrumental version. Now it's a new master. So you have a master of instrumental and a master of a song. And whatever you want to do with it, whatever you want to do with it. So you all have the right, you're the ownership of that until you give up your rights.
Got you. Okay, so we're gonna move forward. Sound Minds, I see your question. I'm gonna hold off on it until we get a little bit further. But so now we're at the point. Boom, we picked a pro. I have BMI. So what is the next step?
The next step is to make sure that you are collecting your mechanicals. And this is the important step that most people miss, because they get confused, as the question was that United Masters was saying. I mean, the guy that said United Masters is the same thing. They think that their master royalties that they're getting from United Masters and DistroKid and CD Baby and TuneCore are their mechanical royalties, and it is not. That is your master royalties. So you want to make sure that you sign up with a mechanical society. And one of the oldest ones into Earth is Harry Fox Agency.
Yep.
And also now the new Monetization Act has now instilled in a new society, a nonprofit society or a business or whatever, the MLC. So now we get to that, of course, later on. But those are the two people that you definitely want to make sure that you're registering your music through.
Okay, and we'll definitely dive a little bit more into Harry Fox because I really want to talk about that. I've heard it around, and I know other people have also heard of it, but we'll really get into it when we get into that, like where in the steps that falls. So,
Exactly.
all right, let's continue.
All right. So now you sign up with BMI, set, right? And you sign up with, let's just say, Harry Fox Agency, set, boom. So you have your music registered in those societies. One, pros is society. It's not your publisher. Let me get that clear also too. Your US pro and any pro is not your publisher. They do not publish your music in a sense, like sending it out. They're just your performance right organizations. So, okay. So, but you have your BMI and now you have Harry Fox. So you're good. You have it covered, all set. Now, you find a distributor, because remember, you still have to get master royalties. And master royalties is paid by your distributors. The ones I just named for CD Baby, United Masters, TuneCore, DistroKid, Allume is another distributor. It's all these other distributors, Amuse. So they are responsible for distributing your song to give it to the DSPs, which DSPs means for digital service providers, which is Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, all those. They're responsible for distributing your music to those things, and they are responsible for collecting your master royalties to pay your master master royalties, basically. So, and that's why I'm glad you sticked it on the original song part, because you see how on the right it says master recording, and it shows the digital performance, and it shows the master recording revenue. So That's that's the distributor's part right there.
So,
So
and that would
that's
be
it.
when everybody sends it to go send it off for streams, to put it
Yes,
in very
yes,
simple terms. Okay, good.
yes, exactly, exactly. So from there it starts to basically you're all set from the original. So when you have all that aligned, right? So you're using the master recording and getting your royalties, you set, boom, DistroKid and all that stuff. And now you both register your music in both Heavy Fox Agency, which is mechanicals, and then also performance royalties, which is BMI ASCAP. So now you're good. So now it's the challenge with maximizing your potential to get more royalties off of it. And this is now I'm going to ask you to change the slide
Okay.
to, let's start off at this set. We're going to go to the first slide of, let's not do mechanicals first. Let's do, because performance is very important. Performance, the performance royalty one. We're going to do that
Performance, where is that? Did I get that?
one. Did you get that?
I don't know.
What?
I don't think I did.
You didn't. Okay.
Can you email it to me real quick and I can pull it up? We'll answer some questions while we're doing that. So, Sound Mind had said, is it beneficial to have a publisher administrator?
Yes, very. I mean, if you want to handle your own publishing, that's fine. But it's a lot. It's a lot, bro. I mean, publisher administrator definitely takes care of all your royalties, making sure you get international. Well, any publisher administrator should making sure that you get all your royalties from any entity that they approve of and stuff. So definitely, why not, right? Why not?
Exactly. And then Carolina Mike asked, how does someone who self-publishes get in front of music supervisors, etc., without the backing of a major publishing company?
Connections and networking. That's just it is no clear cut. It is clear cut. It is no like secret to it. A lot of my placements myself is about just knowing people that know somebody that knows a music supervisor or knows a music library, and we just connect and network, and that's it. It's really just as simple as that. Because at the end of the day, even if you do have a backing, they already have the connections, so they're basically letting you know that, hey, we're gonna represent you, or whatever contract it is, whatever, and we're gonna give you connections off the back because basically you're signed with us. So if you're just gonna do as any hardworking person, you'll just basically connect and network, and then have the music ready and stuff. So
Okay, so Alan asked if Harry Fox is free.
Harry Fox is free to collect mechanical royalties in the U.S. For international royalties, you will have to pay them $100.
Which makes sense. And it's a one-time fee. Just is it just similar
One
to,
time fee.
okay, so that's a really good thing to point out, is you're making a huge investment to ensure that you get the maximum ability to collect everything and anyone who plays your music, whether it be in the United States or not. Those companies are paid in order to hit almost like quote unquote those content IDs anytime your stuff is played that they recognize. Because Harry Fox and Song Trust are registered with like just a bunch of companies, right? That they kind of run their like stuff through, correct?
Yes, yes, exactly. And Harry Fox Agency, then the MLC that we're going to talk about, is Harry Fox is still be in business to this day because they collect not only just straight streaming mechanical royalties, they collect video game things that have been on video games, things that have been or any audio visual, they collect all that too. So your YouTube, your video games, your Twitch, they collect that. They collect ringtones, and they collect two other things I'm pretty sure of too. But the MLC only collects the streaming mechanical royalties. That is it. So that
Gotcha.
is it for that. I don't know why I don't have the performance one. I think what is so funny. I think the one I said that I sent you that had the confusing that that one that had, oh yeah, the artistry composer royalty flow chart. Oh yes, I
Oh,
think
it's
that's
is this one the
it's
one you
that.
want to
Oh
look at?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So maybe I just had it. Oh, hold on a second. My dog just pulled out my headphones. And then I want to
Oh
point out real
no.
quick. Antonio said, "Oh my God, you're talking to another celebrity. It's the dude from Soul on."
Wow.
We got to
Look,
get Disney to pay you for that, though, for real.
we do because I think I'm. Look, that just proves a point that an idea is always thought by the next person. Because
Yep.
I don't know, like it's pretty weird that they have me verbatim my face to this cartoon, and they don't even know who I am.
Right. Yeah. Well, it could be if you did any kind of face scanning to Facebook, you really just probably gave it to them because I mean, think about
Right?
how many things like scan people's faces and shit. But I
You're
have this.
right.
I know. I know. Okay, so I have this up. I'm gonna zoom it in a little bit and make it
Okay. Yeah.
full screen. Oops. Hold on a second. Oh my god, I'm doing developer tools over here. Slow down, Ollie. Let me see. F11, F12. Where's the? Okay, is this it? There we go. Okay, so this is full screen. Hopefully everybody can see this well. I'm gonna move my camera up here so that I'm not blocking anything. So let's
Yeah.
break down what we see here. And someone asked if they can get this slideshow. You absolutely can. If you
Of
want
course.
this, just ask one of us. We'll email all this information to you. I'm trying to figure out the best way. I might revamp the Eargasm group to be nothing but just music and business information, and I can actually post notes and documents and stuff in there. So,
Of course.
all
That
right.
I think right needs this information definitely.
I agree. This is a really good one. So go ahead and we'll start on this now.
All right. So you are the composer. You're composing the lyrics, right? You're the guy up there playing the keyboard, and let's just say you are the producer and artist. Doesn't matter who you are. So then, yet let's just stick on the left side, and we're gonna go for TV, movies, commercials, or video games, right? That is basically sync. That's synchronization. You get paid for that, and basically that still has to do in performance because a lot of people don't understand that these TV shows, movies, and commercials and video games are not. You're not paying them. You should never, by the way, never pay any entity to play any of your music. Never. Okay, it's if they're paying for promotion, marketing, stuff like that, you're paying for a service. But for someone to charge you for them to play your music in their entities, it's illegal. That's why payola was invented, but it's illegal. So, but these companies will pay you for your music to use for their businesses because again, these shows they're not charging people to they're not charging people to listen to your music. What they're doing is, hey, I have a TV show, I have a movie, a commercial, I have a video game. I need music for it because we all know music is everywhere, no matter where you go, right? So now these guys are paying, and sometimes they pay front, like front end money, meaning sync licensing fees. They pay you for that, or they pay you back end, which is royalties, or both. Most likely, is gonna always be either other, either or. But these companies they will pay you for your music, and that goes into sync, and then that goes into it's many ways to get paid from them. You can get it from your BMI ASCAP. You can get that same sync publishing royalties from your actual from your publisher. If you have a publisher, you can get that from them too. They'd be responsible for that. Um, and I think it's if you're working with a music library and you have a deal with them, they do that too. They'll give you the money for that. It's many ways to collect on the sync. It just depends on your situation.
So
A lot of things are situational.
I'm sorry,
So
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, it's cool.
So let me ask you a question. And this is coming from me. Like I'm learning stuff too, guys. The reason why I had him on here is because I have a lot to learn as well. But so if you can break this down for us to understand, so people like myself, I know and struggle with my show for Facebook not seemingly wanting to pay people for, that's why we have muted videos and stuff like that, right?
Right,
So
right,
can you
right.
are you able to kind of break down why that happens and if artists are able to give Facebook permission to like is there a company that like works with Facebook currently for people to have their music played without it getting muted, or does that just not exist right now?
Yeah, so it was discussed within the whole Facebook when Mark Zuckerberg had to go for the whole pixel thing and stuff. In that kind of year. It wasn't that time, but in that year they had to go back for that. The one of the things was also that Facebook is basically letting people just use anybody's music and have no ramifications for it. So they were supposed to build a man of infrastructure of trying to make sure they have a company that they work with that has all of this in a music library, in a sense, to make sure that people that are submitting to distributors that, hey, we distribute to Facebook and IG, which is the same company in a sense, that we'll make sure that whoever their sub company is, basically, if maybe it says Facebook, but they may have a company where they hold their music library to, we're making sure that, you know, we're giving you the you're getting them the permission to use it on their show, in their videos or in their on their post and stuff like that too. So let me see how to explain, because it is, but it's not, because it's very weird. The way how it goes about it, let me explain it how, like, an example. If you send your stuff to DistroKid gives you the option to
Right.
have it in Facebook and IG's library, right? So
Yes.
you could use it on your posts, you could use it in your story, blah, 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 blah. So if you think that you do that, it should be in Facebook's and IG's informational thing, meaning if it pops up on a post and they're like, oh, it's already in our system, that person signed up with this entity to give it to us, to distribute to us, then it should be okay. It should be fine. I know before they didn't have that set up, and when you were starting to do it earlier, since they couldn't tell if someone gave the permission to you to use their music, they just shut it off automatically because they didn't want
Right.
no backlash for it, you know.
Correct. Correct.
But I think, when's the last time you got shut off? Like, really?
Yesterday, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So the ones that distribute through the entities that give the Facebook and IG music, they shouldn't, 9 times out of 10, they shouldn't cut it off. I believe that will only happen if the person, and not to say they have to be someone big, because you already know, like, it's
Yeah.
only 3 big major labels and they control whatever they do.
Yeah.
But someone like United Masters, I'm not too sure if they do, but if they don't and the music's being played, they may have a system or agreement with having non-people that don't have that agreement to not play their music. So
That makes
example, like,
sense.
yeah, so like Universal Music, even videos, because I
Yeah,
had my
they're
beat
bad.
video. Yeah, they're bad. So they probably have agreement or whatever. Anything that's by them and they don't approve it or it's not in their system that's from them, they will shut it down automatically.
Got
That's
it.
it.
Okay. Got it. So Bree has a question real quick. I want to get some of these questions out, and then we'll move on
Yeah,
to the
go ahead.
second portion for the performance royalties. Brianna said, "Diggy, when your track was played on Love and Hip Hop, did you feel like you made it as a producer, and will you always collect royalties from that?"
Yes, I will always collect royalties from that, and I have no. I mean, it's a good accomplishment, but for my self goals, I want to be more. I want to be. My music wants to be everywhere. Like for me, I just want to be like on, not only on just loving hip hop. I want to be a title music a title song for a show. I want to be in a commercial. I want to have a hit song on the top 100. Like, it's a fulfillment. Like, I made a step, but I haven't fulfilled all my stuff yet. But it is a good accomplishment. So.
Wonderful. And then one more question before we go on to the next one. James Brown asked, "What do you think of Song Guard?"
I haven't heard of Song Guard. I have heard of them, but I haven't really deep dive in them yet. So I would like to, if you want to hit me up on like a message and let me know, we could definitely talk about that, because I will want to know what they're about also too.
Cool. Okay, so performance royalties. We're on to the second step. So we went over TV shows, movies, commercials, video games is included in sync licensing, and that then there goes down to sync licensing or publishing company, which goes into money and then back to the artist. Correct? That's
Right.
that
Yes.
flow.
And as you can see, it goes into the signal licensing publishing company, and you still goes to the performance right organization, which is your
Yep.
pro.
Which is all down
Right.
here. Okay, cool. So
Exactly.
radio, TV, bars, club, and live music are performance
Yes.
royalties. Go ahead.
That is another performance royalty that's on the performance royalty side, and that's straight from these entities. Even with bars and clubs and stuff like that, to establish an entity or business that needs music, they have to get a license with BMI and or ASCAP to legally play anyone's music. I don't care if it's Drake. I don't care if it's Beyonce. All those artists are registered to either CSAC, BMI, or ASCAP. You may not know it, but I guarantee you, if you do your research and you know people's legal names and you do one of the three, you will see their name registered. So with that being said, that these entities have to have licenses to play people's music in their thing. So with that, after 3 months, they have the obligation to send off the usage and also their royalties to these performance right organizations to pay you. By law, they have to do that. So that just lets you know that it doesn't matter if it's a local good bar or whatever, or even open mic is different. I mean, not confuse you also too. Open mic is a little bit different, but if they have where they do shows or they do live performances or whatever, and it's established and whatever, like you have a stage and whatever, then yes, these entities have to have a license to let you perform, and they have to register. I mean, they have to send the usage to these performance royalty performance rights organizations. I'm sorry, to do that.
Okay. And that means like anything like that's like stuff played in like well, would Walmart fall in performance royalties?
Yes.
So like a soundtrack like Foot Locker or anywhere in a mall
Yep.
or anything like that. So I like to try to give examples. I don't know if you can give some more examples of what this would all fall under, but that might help people understand like, that maybe the difference between like sync. Obviously sync is I think it's very obvious. It's anything that is like streamed via cable or internet TV or something like that. But then what are some more examples of performance royalties on where you would hear that or see those?
Definitely. So like even my track with one of my artists, Chelsea Davis, we have our song that is in Europe that they have it. It's a music library that works with companies in that country that needs overhead music. So definitely all their establishments and the businesses that need music for their businesses, if it's even a mall or it's a Best Buy or whatever,
Yep.
they play all music. So they have a whole library of music that they play. So something like that. Overhead music definitely counts as performance royalties. So, but that live performances that bars and clubs, regular traditional radio, of course, that's performance royalties. TV in a sense, I guess, to them, the news. If you do play, if they're playing your stuff in a newscast or whatever, or maybe you go in the news and you're live performing like you nuance, and you doing the news thing, whatever. Yes, they have to pay you. They have to still pay you, even though that's sinking away, but they're still considered they're performing your song. So yes, that all falls into the performance right organization.
Okay. Bree asked, is DistroKid still a credible distributor since they removed a lot of artist music recently?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna make this really short because it's a lot of backlash of the understanding of what happened with DistroKid.
Right.
It's not DistroKid's fault.
I didn't think so either. I thought it was someone else.
No, DistroKid sends the music to Spotify.
Right.
If you're using fake views for promotion or any other entities or SM Zeus, because a lot of people don't think they know about SM Zeus, but SM Zeus is definitely an old school from the 90s to late 90s, early 2000s, where people will pay for promotion for fake, and they all bots, and it's still to this day up there. But if you're using those kind of services to get your views, then Spotify would take it down. The problem why DistroKid got blamed is because a lot of people to this day trust in DistroKid.
Right.
I want to say maybe 50 or 60% of people use DistroKid to do unlimited releases, and a lot of those people, I'm not gonna judge, but they're all rappers and singers and stuff like that. But they do this unlawful act, and then they get taken down. Then what happens is, oh, what happened to my song, DistroKid? Why get my song taken down? Why you guys took it off my thing? And DistroKid asked Spotify, and the Spotify response was what we all know what it was. And then they blame DistroKid because who else is there to blame? You're my distributor. I gave you my song. What you guys do with it? But it's not DistroKid. It's the artists that don't want to be honest about how they get their views. So
yes. do it the right way you can. And if you're not sure if it's the right way, reach out to somebody to find out. Diggy and I were just talking about this the other day. So it's just one of those things. There's certain things you can look for when you go and submit to that, and we can talk about that after we get through the whole royalties flow chart. So now we're on
Exactly.
to streams.
Right. So this one is the gray area of streams. If you can get performance royalties from streams, but it is a really, really small amount of royalties, unless you are someone like Drake or Beyonce or anything like that, then we know that you're going to get some kind of performance royalties from that too. And the way how you do get performance royalties from streams, if your listeners or people that are on these streaming sites that do not pay for these streaming sites and they listen to your music, if it's in the algorithm of Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora's in the actual, I mean, interactable, whatever. I'm saying it so wrong. Interactual, whatever they are. So those kind of things, those entities, what happens is that they have to still pay you because, in a sense, it's performing. In a sense, so what happens is, just to say, you listen to Spotify for free. Your song pops up in their playlist because you can't choose what song when you have Spotify for free. So you just basically go through the music and then, oh, okay, songs by Rihanna, blah 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 blah. Okay, I like this song. I save it. Wow. Basically, they didn't pay Spotify for their service to listen to all the music, but it came up anyway. So with that being said, by law, they have to still pay you performance royalties from that. So
Which streaming service would you say pays the most for artists? Because I've heard so many different things. I've heard that Tidal is the best or pays the most. I've
Tidal
heard.
is definitely the best. And actually, that's a good question. And I was prepared for that too, because you don't have to change the screen, but I will go down to the music, the publishing thing, and they actually have a whole list of everybody payouts.
Oh,
So,
wait. So I want to bring that up. I think the chat
okay,
would
so
really like to see that. So let me back
okay,
out of this real quick because I think this is important. And can you tell me where you ended up finding this information? Because I want to, obviously we want to make sure that it's up to date. Do you know how far back this information is from, or when the last time it was updated?
definitely. Song Trust, and the last time they updated was last year, I think June or July. I definitely double check to see if they have new information, but
Mm-hmm.
this one is pretty recent. If any newer entities come involved, they update the same documentation.
Okay, so is it the PDF?
Yeah,
What page?
I think it is page 14.
Okay, give me 1 second. Uh, oh, here we go. I love the skip action we can do here. Oh, here
I
it
love
is.
it too.
Perfect. Look at that. Nice and
Look at
big.
that.
Take a
Exactly.
screenshot, do whatever you need to do to get this information. That way you can really see. Now, I'm looking at this. This this shit kind of trips me out. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, this is why me personally, really stress still making physical copies, still pressing vinyl, still doing stuff that's going to get you an instantaneous amount of money and instant revenue, as opposed to waiting for literally pennies, if not
Hey,
half pennies on the dollar. You know what I'm saying?
for real. And the thing about it with traditional mechanical, you still it's a set rate that they have yet to change since the copyright the laws have been instilled. But those, I think it's 8 cents everything that's been streamed. So you're still getting 8 cents compared to pennies on the dollar with interactive streams, because they never set us and also they are going to set it eventually. They're trying to in 2022. They're going to try to set a flat rate, but they haven't done it yet. But that's what they're working on.
I
But
feel like they shouldn't. That's not a good thing, though, right?
it's not, because the thing about it is, with international streaming, you're not only getting plays from US, you're getting plays from all over. If that's the ultimate goal, you want to be worldwide, right? So how can you tell a different country, oh, your streaming rate is going to be this? You can't.
Right.
That's
Not
the
only
country.
that, but our dollar is not worth the same thing in different countries. So that wouldn't make any sense to make everything
That,
just the same all the way across the board, because people are really going to lose out on money and these companies are just going to keep getting richer.
which is why they did not set one in the first place anyway. That's why they have a rate that they want to do how they want to do it, and you think this is bad. Think about this, and then the other rates that you get from international. So this is just US. This is
Right.
just like the base from these are the base from when, and you see it says do US streaming royalties explain? This is from this thing right here is from 2018. But
Yeah.
we all know that it adjusts a little bit, but it's around the same. But even to that, this is just US. This is not even from other countries. So you're getting less from these countries.
Which is even, I
So
mean, this is crazy because YouTube, obviously, this is extremely hard. That's why people with like, even people that have millions and millions of followers, like, this is, look how many fucking zeros there is before you actually hit a number. I mean, you're chopping decimals in half and in half and in half. But then you look at Title's actually almost close to a
close.
full, quarter. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's almost to the point where you can make $1 or something off maybe what, like 2 stream, maybe
yeah.
5 or something like that. So in
But
comparison to all these other ones, make sure that Tidal is on the list for you to be distributing your
yes,
music to, because I look at this and I think it's highly underrated.
very highly underrated. And even with Tidal, it's just a lot of people don't mess with Tidal because they're so kind of like exclusive. Like, oh, you guys don't want to give it access to, having like a Spotify for artists, or now even Amazon has stepped up their game. Now you can have an Amazon for artists account if you register your music with them and you claim your artist page. You can now, have an Amazon artist account and you be seeing your stats and stuff like that. Just Tidal is the best paying, but they're really exclusive about like having you either pay for the service, you have the best quality, and you just pick your songs and that's it. And a lot of people are still kind of new with it, and they just maybe some people just don't rock with it because YouTube is still kind of free to play any kind of music, or Apple Music and Spotify is the two tops in the business. But it's like Tidal is the one that pays you the most, and a lot of people, even if they say, well, we can't really get on Tidal because we don't really know about them, but still, you should put your music on Tidal one. I honestly, I invest in Spotify and whatever because I want my money back in a sense. So I try to put investment in those things.
Right.
But also like even with Tidal, like you don't feel like they secluded. That's because that I don't want my music on there. You should always maximize your full potential of everything, basically.
Absolutely. So, Carolina Mike, and I want to bring, this is a really good point that he brought up because he's not the first one that actually brought this up. He said, from this chart, it looks like the way to maximize income as an indie artist is by performing your original songs on live streams on your own platforms.
Yes. That would be definitely dope. I mean, if you have an entity that you can collect from what everything. That's the thing about being publisher, your own publisher. Like you're legitly doing everything hand on, foot on, everything. You got to make sure that if you have that, and that's the best way to do it, that you have a set of connection where you can get that money. Because again, yeah, you by law you get paid, but who's paying you? Okay, Facebook or this entity, or you have YouTube, whatever. Okay, now you're in the bygones and the laws of their rules. So if you have your whole network set up, whatever, then you need to make sure that you're getting your money or your royalties set up from somewhere where they can pay you. So
Right.
that's the whole thing, like it's hard. You gotta know somebody, not to know somebody that knows somebody, but you still gotta make sure your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted to understand.
I'm sorry, my headphone got pulled out. It was quiet for
No,
a
bless
second.
you.
So somebody asked the question. I apologize. KL said, "Is there a streaming cutoff as far as streaming rates? For example, I heard that Tidal rates only kick in after 600 streams, and I just want to kind of apply that for each one of the streaming platforms. Do they have a requirement before it kicks in?"
No, that's very funny that you say that because I actually want to research that because I never heard Tidal. Like I said, a lot of people don't know about Tidal, so even myself, I'm kind of still limited to them. But I have never heard anybody kept cutting off. Well, actually, have to meet a threshold before they actually get streams. I have got pennies on the dollar in my performance royalties for getting, I think, 500 streams for I think D Goodson's on our side. People have been just listening to it just playing it on their free accounts. But even for 500, I still got like maybe 10 cents. But it shouldn't be a cutoff that I know of.
Okay, got you. And then Carolina Mike said the main thing was registering with ACAP. This is great stuff, and thank you for sharing those details. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, so do we want to go back? I think that was a good coverage on this, and really, like, I hope everybody, if you took a screenshot, make sure you take another one. Do you want to go back to the flow chart now so we can finish off?
Yeah, let's go back to
Okay.
the flow chart and finish it off the mechanical side. And
Okay.
definitely.
All right. So, oops. Let's get this open wide. There we go. All right, so we got that back up on the screen. So we did streams, we did the both of the performance royalties, and we did sync. We talked about sync licensing, and now we're over to mechanical rights organization.
Right. So mechanical rights organizations are basically, like I said, the new MLC, or which they, in a sense, they're a company, and also Heavy Fox Agency. So with them, they'll they'll pay you for your intellectual property for mechanicals. And again, mechanicals is something, you have to make up. You have to make up, like, so the traditional mechanicals is CDs, vinyl, 8 tracks, stuff like that. So it has to be, made. In digital world, basically it's just, I guess, in their intellectual property, they just consider that just upload an MP3, or wave and stuff. So basically, but still by law, it is your intellectual property and you have a right to get paid. So from there, once you register your mechanicals, your titles to the mechanical societies, then you are able to collect mechanical royalties. But remember, you have to be in an entity that's going to give you mechanical royalties. So it's always good to register yourself in Heavy Fox Agency or the MLC. But if you just register and you don't put yourself in streaming, how are you collecting mechanicals, right?
Right.
So that moves on to the last part is, even though it says download, that's just, I guess, the example. They should have just said streaming as the other one, but I guess they didn't want to confuse. But even to that, downloads are considered the traditional mechanical because that is like the late 90s, early 2000s, before they started doing streaming. You put your stuff on iTunes and you download it. So that should have a rate of the 8 cents I was talking about. If someone downloads your music, then you still should have a set rate for downloads. That still plays a part.
Does
But
it?
that also,
I'm sorry. So for a download, does a download equate to a certain amount of streams? Like, so if say and I guess what I mean is say somebody goes on and they purchase the single, right? Instead of
yeah.
streaming it, they purchase it. Does that equal that quote unquote 1,000 streams for the one download, or like how is that? How is that?
Some sites,
Yeah.
some sites do that. Yeah, some sites do that. They count that as a stream, and other sites don't. And I have seen something like that where a download counts as a stream. And then other sites, I think it would be something like, because how like Spotify, you can save your song on
Right.
your thing and have it.
Yeah.
And that would, I guess, in the sense that would still consider streaming, in the sense where if you're saving it and you're playing it, they're not gonna say, well, one saves the download streams. But I guess if you're saving it, it equals up to a certain amount off the back. And also with just, I know Apple Music, they Apple Music and iTunes, same company, but people just use Apple Music more so. And iTunes is now like not obsolete. I mean, it is obsolete, but still, if you download the song, you're getting paid a perpetual rate of just the 8 cents than just streaming it all the time, and then you getting pennies on a dollar from Apple Music. So
Right.
it's a
Right.
good question. I think I got to look into that more because you're not wrong, and I think it depends on the service
Yeah,
of.
and I think so too. I just feel like I if I'm gonna say anything for artists, I would say try to encourage people to buy your single for $1.49 or $1.99 or whatever, as opposed to
Right.
trying to wait for 5,000 streams to equal $1.29. It just makes more sense for the instantaneous revenue as opposed to the trickle in revenue. If you're not as big yet, it makes way more sense for me to. In that, I mean, I could be wrong. That's just my personal opinion. But if you're not, Chris Brown, the downloads and the streams and stuff are not going to come in the way you think just yet. But
Right.
that's just
Exactly.
that's just my opinion. Now, Sound Minds asked, who do I go through to get my music on vinyl or CD or anything physical? You could do actually CD Baby does. They print CDs. I know that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they do vinyls too. A couple of producer friends from New York actually still and have used CD Baby for quite a long time, and I've seen the CD quality that I have. I have a couple of them in here. They're over there. I'm not gonna get up and get them, but CD Baby has I've seen quality work from them. So that's one that I know of for sure. Diggy, do you have any other input on
It
that?
was another website. I definitely will get back to Simon Mounds on that because I have seen it recently. Actually, last month, I seen they actually make vinyl in Canada
Mm-hmm.
and they'll distribute it for you if you want them to. So I definitely don't know the offhand, but I'll definitely hit up Simon about that website because I think that would be good for his stuff because his stuff sounds like it should be on a vinyl. You know?
Absolutely. Not only that, but that's such a good. It's vinyl, and we talked about this when Professor Pooch was on here. We talked about the percentage of sales that vinyl was getting over the
Yeah.
last year. In 2019, vinyl sales were up by like 60-70%, and it was people who were not old enough to really know what they were. It was like people from 17 to 25. That was the age group of people that were actually buying vinyls, and it's because they like to hang that shit in their house. Now,
Right.
and who cares if they're hanging it or if they're listening to it? Obviously, you would like them to do both, but as long as they're as long as they're purchasing it, that can be anywhere from a $39.99 purchase up to $50. It really just depends, and people like it because it's vintage. That's the reason why they buy it.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes the physical is just as important as the digital because just like anybody, so for the people that do buy vinyl, it's in the sense they collectors. They like to have
Right.
a collection of certain things because some like anything a collector, they want to hold it, they want to feel it. It's just the nostalgic of just like, oh, this is a classic, and especially if something is really like, let's just say, any artist becomes super big and they break records or whatever the collective be like, I have the first vinyl of their hit or their
Exactly.
album. Like that could be worth something. A
Yep.
digital could be altered, all this stuff or whatever. A physical thing, if you have a rarity of it, it stays forever.
Facts.
So
Very good point. All right, one more question, and then we're gonna get back. Well, we finished the flow chart, so we can go on to our next slide after this. So,
of course.
Brianna said, "Should you encourage your fans to pre-save your song before it releases? Is there an advantage to pre-save links?"
Yes, I think it is because one, why wouldn't it be? I mean, people now you're having that kind of not in a sense promise that people are going to listen to your song because if they pre-save, what happens is when it's the release date, they get a reminder.
Yep.
And also Spotify does put it in their new releases on the front page where, when you first open the app. So with that being said, like even if they forgot, I'm like, oh, whatever, stuff like that. Some people get notifications. I always get emails for everybody that I follow of the new music, new releases. But even to that, like when they open the app, it says new releases out, and it could be your first. There you go, right there. And then they kind of promised you that your main fans should be like, hey, we're gonna listen to this. We're gonna see if I like it or not. At least I gave it a listen. And like I said, uh, any reaction is better than no reaction in a sense. You know.
Gotcha. Okay, good question. Or yeah, that was a good question. All right. So what slide do you want to go on to next? We have the process, the MLC process, and then we have the mechanical royalties, and then the revenue breakdown left still.
Let's the revenue breakdown. Okay, so yeah, do the revenue breakdown. Just
Okay.
to slim do it in a sense, right?
Sure.
So yeah, this would be the revenue breakdown. And you see four different people: the songwriter, the publisher, the recorder owner, and the artist. And sometimes people could be all four, but we're just gonna put the hats on different people here. And this just breaks down the revenue for what pays who. And don't get confused, like, okay, well, you see as mechanicals and the print, which is a music sheet paper and whatever. And the license all go to the publisher. And it's like, oh, well, I don't get nothing. No, if you're the publisher, by law again, you're a songwriter and the publisher, you get all that too. So this is just a breakdown of saying that if you're your own publisher and you're your own songwriter, then you are entitled, as long as you don't sign your publishing away, that you're entitled for performance royalties, you're entitled for mechanicals, if you write your own music and stuff and you have that music that's written into entities that are either sung by an artist that didn't write it or whatever, or like a jingle. Basically, a jingle will kind of be to the print sense, even though, they write it and then someone sings it and makes a jingle out of it, then yeah, that would be considered print also too. And then sync licensing, which is like the whole TV commercial and stuff like that. All that is paid to the publisher. But if you're your own publisher and you're in BMI and ASCAP and you're getting paid for all that, then you're the own publisher, right? So, and then also this is the important one why I want to show this, because the sync licensing and the sampling, you see how the recording owner owns that, right? And this is very important because the recording owner is the person that it's not saying that, oh, they should say copyright owner. I don't know why it says recording owner, but it should say copyright owner, because the biggest thing with sampling is just because you make a whole new work of a sample by Anita Baker or your favorite Michael Jackson song or Beyonce song that came out 5 years ago.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It does not matter. That is a new master. And with producers, it is a way how you can still sell that master in a sense, and it'll be on the artist to actually clear it for publishing wise. But as a new master is a new master, that's a whole nother thing. But the publisher still has to get paid. And the publisher and whoever owns the song, which we all know, everybody that's big. Most people don't own their own stuff. We're not gonna talk about the Tech Nines and the Nipsey Hussles and the people that own their stuff now. They always say ownership is very important. But the people like even to Beyonce when she first started, even to Whitney Houston when they first started, they was under these labels and they got these contracts, and of course they may be the artist as you see, and they may sing it as you see, but they don't own it. So when you do sample something and you are trying to make money off of it, you have to do your due diligence and make sure you know who the ownership of it is. And just because it says Whitney Houston doesn't mean it's owned by Whitney Houston.
You have to go a little bit deeper than that. It's never just surface. For the most part, it's never just surface. They all had writers. They all had, people who are also involved in whatever it was that you're, dealing with. Now, I have a question for you, because this is something that I think I know I struggled with when I was trying to register my music. So people that are familiar with BMI or even maybe ASCAP, I'm not sure the way ASCAP is set up because I have BMI. When you go in and you register a new work and you're trying to put something in there and it asks you to make shit add up to 200%, which is the stupidest shit ever. So how do you act? So say you have an artist and a producer, right? So who gets the 100%? Who get, you know what I mean? Or who gets the 150%? Or who gets the 50%? How does that, or does it 100 and 100? Make that make sense for people, because I think this is as small as a small mistake that this is. A lot of people make it, I think.
Definitely. And it's funny because Keith Light is laughing and he knows why we know why we laughing. We have an inside joke because we ask for people to be a part of BMI when they sign up with our publishing company, because people that ASCAP totally get so irate when they say, why is Steady Grind Music writer on it? And we're like, look, I don't know why they just don't stay with the 100% kind of format.
It's weird.
But yeah, it's weird. So let me break it down. ASCAP does the traditional, going back to the two halves of the song, right? They go back to the traditional way of saying that 100% of the song is half songwriter, half publisher. Bow. Okay, cool. So with ASCAP's format, when you do whoever the songwriter is, it is the artist and the producer. Those are the songwriters. So you will have to split that half, that 50%, in however way you have to on ASCAP. So if it's a producer and an artist that made the whole full song, that put the intellectual property in there, then that will be 50%, right? That's already half covered. Boom, for that 100% on ASCAP. The other 50% is the publisher. Now, if you're your own publisher on both entities, let's just say both of them are publishing on ASCAP, and they both have half that song that they're contribute to, so there'll be 25 and 25, which covers that other 50. which covers the whole 100 for ascap. So it's still kind of confusing in a sense because ascap is like they'll take 100% of the song and they break it down to two parts: songwriter and publishing. So now to these two parts, you have one on the left, one on the right. The two parts, the songwriter, you have to break that down to another thing, saying, okay, who out of this 50% of the songwriting, who owns what? So you have to get to 50%.
Right.
And it's like, okay, 25-25, because they shared the half of the song. Boom. So 25-25. Okay, we covered for that 50. Now, publisher. Who's your publisher? Okay, yeah, we publish our own music. Okay, cool. So you're covering 25 and 25 because you guys are half of that. So you're covering that 50. Boom. So that makes it to 50. Boom. That equals up. They both parties are covered for the 50. That equals up to the 100. Everything makes sense. So BMI. BMI, they do 200% because they want 100% fully to the songwriter and 100% fully to the publisher. That's how they work. So now they're saying, okay, 100%. I mean 200%. Boom. Break down to two parts, left and right. So songwriter. So get to 100%. Who's the songwriters on these?
And that can be broken down very small because if you have multiple people on a track, you're looking at 25% and 25% if there's two, like if like for Saturday night, it was me, Nuance, and fucking Vivid. You know what I mean? That's three people that I had to break down the songwriters in between. So that was weird because it was like a percentage.
Yes, and this is very important. I want to really stress this out too, because I am a producer, so I definitely want to make sure producers are protected. I love you artists, but some people have to be educated on this. So when you do songwriting, and again, we go back to the composition, it is lyrics and melody. If you have no part of the beat, like if you're not nuanced and you're making the guitar riffs, or you're not, if you're not contributing any part of the melody itself, you do not take the producer's cut. You do not. So since we have to cover 100% of the songwriting thing, we'll now check that half. I mean, that 100% has to be broken down to lyrics and melody, right? So lyrics and melody. Who's half of the lyrics and who's half of the melody? Now, like I said, we're not going to confuse. Let's just say Saturday Night, you just had you, Nuance, and Vivid, right? So that lyric part is covered. You guys have to break it down however you break it down. You got to break it down. If it's three people, you got to get to 50 somehow. So there you go. Like you said, he wasn't really making that much off of it. But Devin, I think Devin,
yeah,
what was his name?
Dirk Devin.
Dirk Devin. He gets his 50. Now, I didn't know, and again, everything is somewhat situational too. I know Nuance added the guitar stuff to it. He added instrumentation to this beat.
Correct.
Now, Nuance, yeah, right. Nuance is in the best of both worlds right now, because if he wanted to, and I don't know, it's none of my business how you guys split it. I know we talked about it behind the scenes, but I'm not gonna put it out there how it was split. But if Nuance wanted to, he could take a percentage from Devin, because he did add instrumentation, and it was approved.
Right.
Nobody said anything about it. He didn't say, "Oh, you can't do that. I don't want the guitar riff. I don't want that in there." Everybody approved of it, and it was out. It got published. So if he wanted to take that 50 from Devin and make it okay, it's an ending thing. Let's just say 10%.
10%. Yeah, that would be fair.
Right. Right. So Nuance will that split. Not only he's a songwriter on the lyrics, he's a songwriter on the melody too. So his split would be higher than you guys, because all you guys did both the lyrics. You know?
So he would have 43.333% as opposed to 33 or whatever it was.
Exactly. So then whatever the case may be, 100%. Boom. Whatever you guys did, 100% on the songwriting alone. Boom. And now you're going to the publisher, and it's the exact same format. Whoever your publisher is, and pretty much publishing is just straight. Whoever owns what part of what. Like if you're your own publisher, then you get 25. If it's 4 people and they're their own publisher, it's 25% cutthroat. That's it, straight. It only depends if that publisher has a publisher administrator, or maybe their publishing is owned by a publishing company. That's when it gets a little tricky. These are situational things, and these are things that when you do have something like that, you hit me up and ask what would be the best.
and talk to the artist, because this is where people lose relationships, they lose friendships, they lose stuff because people don't take the time to talk about this portion of the business. And that's another reason why we're on here saying this, because you all need to be open to talk about it with one another if you all want to get paid correctly. And if you're not sure, don't swallow your pride and just do it anyways, because you could be cutting somebody off of what they're entitled to. So
So the biggest thing I have a problem with is when people they'll make a song and they don't, and the whole song process, of course, I want to be involved in that too. But okay, let's just say it wasn't, right? And we make a song and then it's already said and done. The biggest slap in the face that you could do to somebody, and just think if it was you, that you just put it up on streaming things and everything like that, and you just register it and you don't even let the person know. Like, come on now. At the end of the day, we all know it's a business, so let's just do the proper business etiquette.
Correct. Which also includes contracts. Y'all need to stop being scared of contracts. They're not there to put you in a position to blackmail you. They're there to protect you as well as the person. And if, as long as it reads off what you are supposed to be covered and what they're supposed to be covered, then everybody should be happy.
Exactly. And like I said, ascap, they just follow the traditional composition format. What I said that like it's 100% of the song, so it's 50-50, meaning the songwriter and the publisher. And then BMI, they just do it differently. They just want 100% fully of the publishing and 100% fully of the songwriting to make sure 200%, but it's still the same kind of sense of 100% fully done. Right. So
okay, so Sound Minds has a question, and then we can move on to the other flow charts and stuff. So he asked, outside of BMI and ASCAP, where else can I find out the ownership of songs sampled? So for producers, and this is a question that's gone on and on. I don't know if Robert's still in here, but he's a good one to ask too. A lot of producers will ask the question, do I really need to get this sample cleared? And, some producers will be like, nope, just do what you need to do with it. It's only going to come back and bite you if you blow up. Or you take that sample and just completely make it unrecognizable, which is, in my mind, you're using a sample to flip it into your creation, not to make it sound like the original sample. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I am interested in your answer to that question.
Okay, so to find out who owns the publishing or the songwriting to it, of course, is you could legitimately go to these record labels and stuff like that, and probably they have a office or an entity that deals with that kind of type stuff. But also, it is also a website that I think I told Simon before, TrackLib, and TrackLib kind of makes it a liaison for people to really find out who owns the samples, because with TrackLib, they do other newer samples and stuff like that, but they do have all the samples on that website, and they will tell the information who owns it. And that's not only an informational thing, they also have an opportunity where you could buy the sample for a percentage or for ownership, just to let you know that it's not going to be cheap, but you could have some ownership, so you can make that sample and chop it up and whatever, but you're legally owning it now. So that was one. And I know it's another website too. I gotta get back on that one too. So, but I will look, let's just say it like it is, right? It is, we all know the Kanye West, right? He made Good Life. And we know that the only sample of Good Life, that he has 3 samples in that, by the way, people didn't know that. He has a Stevie Wonder sample that nobody really even cares about, Michael Jackson's PYT, and there's another sample in there. PYT is only used in the vocals. That is it. He had someone do a derivative work, or he had somebody play it, the same chords, and we can't copyright chord progressions. That's against the law. You can't do that. But when you have something that is published already and is familiarized with the same chord progression, that's considered kind of still in a way sampling in a sense. So, but he did not sample from the actual song. Besides the vocals, PYT, that's all he sampled. So, but still, for just sampling that, you still gotta pay Michael Jackson's, whoever owns his publishing, whatever, his money worth, right? And Kanye West didn't. He's the known person for not paying nobody until they sue, right? So I don't encourage that, but it is ways around it, and you can sample whatever. And also, again, if it's a master copy, then you are rightfully so, the ownership of your master copy, meaning if you make a new master, that's fine. And you're paying for the master, that's, I mean, if somebody pays you for that master copy, that's fine. But when they put it in the entity of trying to get publishing for it, now, if you're just selling the actual master copy to, such and such and getting your distributing money or whatever, that's fine. But once you put it in the performance and mechanical thing, oh no, you can't do that. That you have to pay the songwriters that originally made it.
Which makes
So
total sense. I mean, you're stepping into a new area at that point.
yes,
Okay.
because you have a right for your own master, but the publishing
Right.
was not your right anyway.
Sure. Right. It was already established. Okay. So Carolina Mike said, when you get a placement, who typically provides the contract? Is it the company trying to use the song or vice versa? I think it's the company, but I could be wrong. But
So how, let's just say, for example, like our thing with me and Keith or whatever. So when we got a placement, like I just got the Adobe placement or whatever. It was from a music library that deals with companies that need music for their businesses. So they hit up our I think they Triple Scoop Music, and they say, hey, you guys have a vast music, you have your people, these artists, these companies that are in your music library, we need music and stuff. So what happened was that Triple Scoop Music hit up Keith and say, hey, you guys have a lot of artists in your publishing company, and you're more familiar with your artists, and you're more, you have a relationship with your artists instead of just having random people on their music library. Like, it's great people. I have heard their songs on their music library, but they wanted to have people that have relationships with people that make music. So they hit us up and they was like, hey, you have artists and you have good relationships. Can you guys give us some songs and we're going to pitch it to Adobe? And we submitted songs, and out of the songs, one of mine was submitted, and other two artists, Kobe Dean was submitted, and Jay Wills was submitted, and they got picked. So it was three, I think it was five that was submitted, and three got picked. But from there, they just, and again, it's all situational. So what our deal is that they don't want it. They don't want to pay us royalties because they know if they pay us royalties, we're going to be making bank. So what happens is, right? So what happens is, hey, we'll give you such and such amounts of dollars. I won't say the amount. We'll give you this front money, but you got to give us the exclusive ownership for a year. So they're not owning it perpetually, meaning forever. We just signed a contract saying that, hey, for this year, we're gonna own it. We'll pay you the front, which is kind of like a work for hire in a sense,
right.
Right. But then we just own it for this year. That's the contract. We pay you X amount of dollars up front. That means you get, the money right to your bank account. And basically, there you go for a year. And then we want to renew it, we renew it. If we don't need it no more, we don't need it no more. So we had to get the approval, for that. But again, the liaison was Triple Scoop Music was the music library. There's just the companies that looking for music to hit them up to hopefully they hit us up and then, we give them the music. So
That sounds awesome, by the way. And if you guys want help with that, make sure to hit Diggy up. You could also hit Robert up. He's another really good one. He owns all his own stuff too. You're familiar with him, right, Diggy?
Yeah. I gotta add him. I think I have him as a friend, but
Pretty
yeah.
sure. Big Boss Beats. It's him. But then okay, so I'm trying to think if there's any other questions. No, I think that we're good. Okay, so we have I think two more slides maybe. We're making good time. We're almost to we've got 40 minutes before we hit that 2 hours. So that's good timing. I think we're doing really really well.
Cool, yeah. And I'll see Robert Anderson's comment with Trackler does not help you find samples, which is good. I wanna make sure that I don't say the wrong information because I thought they had a little thing where they kind of see who copyright holders are, but I could be wrong. So thank you for clearing that up. I do know that they have opportunities that they give you to have right ownership of it, but I need to know. That's a good question that now I'm gonna have to research myself. How can you figure that out? So thank you,
Because
Robert.
it seems like it's really hard to do sometimes. The information
It
doesn't
is.
seem readily available, and I think they make it hard on purpose. But I'm not. It's always nice to be able to use it. Just like I have that James Brown sample from Sound Minds in Uphill Battle, and it's very apparent that it's him. You know what I mean? It's the very clear sample, but it's literally like it's not even a second long. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things.
I know it's hard because again, Pharrell got sued for
Hey Diggy,
unauthorized.
something happened with your audio. It sounds like it got unplugged.
Okay,
You sound really weird now.
wow, that's crazy.
I don't know what happened. Did you change something just now?
Can you hear me now?
No, it doesn't sound the same. Did you unplug something?
No, I just basically moved. I don't think I moved anything. Hold on.
That is
Okay.
weird.
That is weird.
Savvy is the one that dubs websites, Soundmind, just by FYI.
Yes, he does.
Not Diggy. Okay, well, we're gonna try to keep going. I don't know what happened to your audio. Hopefully it comes back in because it sounds really far away now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but you don't sound the way you were before.
Okay, let me disconnect the call and then call back. Maybe that works.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna give him a minute here. Let's see.
Okay, it's better.
Yeah, that's much better. I don't know what happened, but you went from like stereo to mono.
Damn, bad man.
All right. So, do you want to go over this mechanical royalties slideshow? I think that's the
Yeah,
only
we
one
can
that we have
quickly.
left, or the process.
You know
Either
what?
one.
The MLC process. Let's do that because we
Okay.
kind of talked about mechanical royalties.
Okay.
And
Let me
then
zoom this in here and stretch this out.
you gotta zoom that in. I know you gotta zoom that in.
Yeah. Okay.
How you
There we
zoom
go.
this in? Oh no.
All right. And then Soundmind said, going forward, I'm trying to use only music from TrackLib. It's easier to get the clearances through them. But just remember what he just said about TrackLib. He said there's another website that you can use. Let me find his comment. He said, wait, where is it? Hold on. Where's Rob? Oh, sampled.com. He said,
yes.
He said, go to whosampled.com. That was the other website. So make sure you Google that and find that because he said it looks like TrackLib might be a little restrictive. So just FYI. And
that is definitely a website. Yes.
And then Manly Winter asks, if using samples, I know with BeatStars it requires to provide a link to that sample, which is why it's wise to keep track of the source of the sample. Oh, it's just a comment. Okay.
Yes, definitely. By good music, business etiquette, you should always let the person know that ever has samples in it, and also let them know who the sampler is. So,
right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And then KL said he said make sure you go lock your doors. They're coming for you. You're giving out too much game.
Let me pause. Hold on. I'm gonna.
Okay, so I got the slide up. So this is the MLC process. Go ahead and break down what we're seeing here on the screen. I'm gonna try to make it a little bit bigger. It's a little light, but I think it'd be better with you talking about it. So
cool. Yeah. So let me actually explain what MLC is. The MLC is a mechanical license collective. It is a nonprofit organization created in 2019 by Music Modernization Act to administrate blanket mechanical license to eligible for streaming services and pay resulting royalties to songwriting composers, lyricists, music publishers, and it's designed by the Copyright Office. That's pretty much the gist of it. And they was created because there's two types of license that you could always have. It's the blanket license, and then it's it is perpetual. It's something else too. I forgot off the top of my head. I had it in my mind. But one of the license is, so with that being said, the blanket license covers basically everything. With blanket things is usually it's the covering of all everything, and they wanted to do it because a lot of before this blanket license, a lot of the regular license was they can use your music as long as they give you the notice of intent to use it. Meaning that, let's just say you distribute, right? And basically you distribute, and now it's like, okay, perfect example, actually, the Eminem situation. The Eminem situation was a perfect because he was like, oh, I didn't give these companies to upload my music to Spotify. And you're like, well, you're Eminem. How did you not? But again, Eminem never owned this music. So in the same sense, too, now what happens is that this music is uploaded, and as long as it's uploaded and Spotify and Apple Music gives these a letter to intent, meaning that they have the usage of music, they have the permission to use the music however they want. As long as they throw you the letter of intent, then they're cleared. It's fine. They're not breaking the law because they're following the rules that was set before this whole blanket license thing. So the problem was that they'll send it to your publisher, and you're not a publisher, then you're not getting this letter of intent. So you know what they do? They send it to the copyright office because they assume everybody has their work copyrighted, and the copyright office will usually get all these letters of intent physically back in the day, but now digitally now, and say, hey, this person's song is up there, and now we have a license for them, and blah 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 blah. So that's how they cover with, again, the license back, because again, in the beginning of the video, I just said that for any entity to use your music, if people are paying or not, they have to have a license. They have to have a license from BMI, ascap, CSAC. They have to have a license for all this stuff. So the old school license was that. The new school license, at least for USA, is this. It's the blanket license. And the collective company to control this blanket license is the MLC. So the process, right? The process is you got to become a member first because you want to, register your music. So when you're playing your part, it is free. This is a government nonprofit organization, of course. So you register your music, you become a member, and you register your music into their database. So what happens is you register your music, and again, these DSPs, the digital service providers, they, by law, have to send MLC the usage and the royalties of how much were made to MLC. And, it's traditional, you have to wait because, of course, you put something out on January 1st. You can't know how much royalties is going to get until it gets streamed. So you have to wait 3 months for it to gain whatever traction it does. And then by law, I think they have Spotify and Apple Music has 90 days to send out to the MLC. Then MLC, I don't know if it's still 90 days for them to give you your royalties, but maybe they would be a little faster. But usually everything takes a 3-month period. You got to, from the start process to gain, to the company to send out to your publishing company or your pro or now the MLC, from that company to take 3 more months to pay you out. Usually is a long process for royalties. But from there, when you do step 3, as it send digital service streaming downloads or recording your song, basically it's just saying that it's going to have all your information in that portal. That's why you see the portal on the left, because basically what they did was they took every registered mechanical song that's registered in Harry Fox Agency, all the ISRC numbers, that's very important because that's basically your references for those songs. Digital wise, they have a different one. ISWC is for the performance use. That's a reference for those title songs. But ISRC is for the digital. They took every ISRC from that entity and put it in a database. So if you was registered by Harry Fox Music, maybe you even wasn't. There's other ways to get ISRC numbers because they probably took data from Spotify and Apple Music too, but they put it in this website, this entity. So now all the ISRC numbers that have been registered is in this thing. And what you could do is not only you could add your new songs that maybe you're just coming out with, or maybe you haven't added it yet or whatever, but you can also look up for the songs that already been in the process and claim them. So this is what very important. This is what number 4 is, making the mix. What happens is the making the mix is, you see how it says they call it music work, which is MW, and then the sound recording. So making the mix is basically you're feeding it information and it's giving back information. So if you give it to this, if you give an ISRC number new, right? And it's like, okay, now it's registered. So now either this is going to be a proper ISRC number for this work of art. I mean, this song, whatever. It's feeding back information to all the societies, the mechanical societies, meaning Harry Fox Agency, and even DSP, saying, hey, this is the set in stone ISRC number. If you don't have this ISRC number, then you need to update your system, because basically it's saying that we are the beholders of all that. We take care of all mechanicals now, So they're not the only ones, but they are now the government owned. So they basically making sure everything's correct. And if it's not correct, you can correct it with them. And you can also register new music. And they have a way where you see on the bottom of that making the mix on the 6, even though it skips, but I'm going to get to the payout first. But the 6 is committed to transparency, meaning that they have a thing where it's unclaimed songs that they have. So say like you have a song that you didn't even know it was uploaded to Spotify or Apple Music or somebody, or like producer. We're a producer. The artist uploads to Spotify, Apple Music. That creates an ISRC number because it's been distributed to our DSP. And now you just like, let me see if this artist, let me see if this artist like did they did diligence and did it the right way, right? Didn't add you to the music, didn't add you to nothing, right? Now you can check. So now if if you have some kind of, they have a thing where you can search by title, maybe the artist name, anything.
Name. So
And
can I ask a question real quick in the middle of all
of
this?
course.
Because this was something that I noticed that I was being asked, I believe, by DistroKid when I was trying to upload it. Is that, if I'm am I remembering correctly? Is I never knew where to look for the IRSC code. So what produces this, or where is this information so that you can have it in order to register it?
It should be a website that lets you look up ISRC numbers.
Okay.
And most of the, and I don't know the verbatim name of the website, but most of the information is taken from Spotify, because no matter what, even if you distribute, you have to have an ISRC number, right?
So is it after you put it out for distribution, or is it like where? I guess I'm trying to ask where in the process that is.
Yeah. So the process is you're registering, or you're you're putting all the metadata in there, and sometimes they ask you, even on DistroKid, it says, do you already have an ISRC number?
Yeah.
And you could pay for one if you want to. You could just go on a website, and I think it's $30 or $35, and pay for an ISRC number, so you already have one already together. If you don't, then someone like CD Baby or TuneCore, I'm not too sure with TuneCore, CD Baby will make you one for $10. Wow. Or a UPC for $10, basically, so it can be scannable, because they still do downloads, right?
Yeah.
So but ISRC number, you pay for your own one, and basically now you have one for that specific sound recordings. Remember, we're only talking about masters here, in the sense of making the ISRC number, even though you're getting paid for your mechanical royalty, which is your intellectual property. You're attaching a ISRC number to a physical digital thing. So you're for the master sound recording. That's why they use the sound recording, but you still get paid for your mechanical, of course.
Okay.
But if you don't have one, then any distributor should be making you one, and you do upload it and finish the process, you should be able to look at the ISRC number from the whole process after.
Got it.
So
SoundMine asks, do I embed the ISRC in the WAV or the MP3, or are ISRCs for your own records, is what he asked.
So if you make one, so like say you paid the $30 or $35 to make one, when you do have it should be a spot in there when you have like upload properties for your beats and stuff like that. Even I don't know if you use Fruity Loops, or I say Fruity Loops because I'm so old school. FL Studios, everybody new school people. Any other DAW that you use, it should be a way where you could put in metadata before you bounce it out. Mm-hmm. So some of them do have that, some of them don't have that. It depends what you using. Mm-hmm. But once you make a whole distributing for something, right, and you have to put in the metadata, and that's going to be the forever metadata for the public use. So that's why it's always important to make sure it's right. When you can, and a lot of people don't know this, you can re-download your song back. And when you do that, it will have that instilled metadata in that.
Oh, I don't think a lot of people know that. I sure as hell
don't think a lot of people know that. If you go on DistroKid right now, you should be able to download your song back. It's not a set in stone that they have to hold your song. It should be a way to download your song. So with that being said, that it should, if you download it from that directly thing, you put it in there, you should be able to see all the metadata. You should. I haven't tried it yet, but I know you can download it. But you should be able to see all your metadata that you put in. Because why would they not have that metadata embedded in that? That's kind of crazy.
That would be
after
weird.
You just gave it to them. That would be super weird, right? So
if you require it all, why isn't it on the fucking file?
Right. So it's more so important if you want the metadata, the ISRC number in your metadata of your own use, that's fine. But the biggest important is more so that the people that are using your music to get you paid has it correct. That's the biggest important.
Okay.
So that's why the making the mix is basically it's feeding and giving out. So making sure everything they still have they said it themselves. I watched the seminar for the guy that kind of is like the runner of this kind of process. He said that they're gonna take 5 years to dedicate to make sure that every single thing that goes into the system is either accountable for right or making sure that they find the people, not find, but like go through entities to make sure the people that have these unclaimed things, making sure they know about it and making sure they claim it. That's their job. So,
Okay.
and all this is free, by the way. You don't have to pay for this doing MLC, the sign up, the play your part, to all. It's free.
Okay,
That's it.
so we got a couple questions before we get to I don't think you got to the payout yet, right? Or
Yeah, but that's just paying out. Yeah, I mean, we
okay.
self-explanatory, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, pretty much.
right.
Okay, so couple questions in the chat right now, and I encourage you guys because we're getting towards the end here. If you have any questions, really about anything that we covered or just anything in general, go ahead and start putting them in the chat.
Yes.
James said, "Is that one IRSC or is it
ISRC. I
ISRC
know, I get it confused all too.
for each master or a different one every time?"
It's a different one every time for each master. So basically, if you make a master for one and then you have a remix for like perfect example, Intentions with me and Savvy. That's just we had the beat that was called on Skylines. So we have an ISRC for Skylines, which is instrumental. But when we made the song, it has a different because that's a new master. Remember, it's a recorded song. So
Right.
that's it.
Okay.
So,
And then Brianna asked, what is the best way to input metadata? Because sometimes things are missing, like producer names. And I noticed DistroKid is really bad about this, and it's kind of confusing sometimes because once you add your team members, I think that's where you can add like producer credits. But sometimes for me, it comes up that they're the songwriter. So maybe you can bring some clarity to that on how that should be in there, because obviously I want to make sure that the producer is credited when you look at the Spotify credits or anywhere else, and it says the correct people, correct names, and all that stuff. So how can you go into that a little bit?
yeah. So every distributor is different. I know from CD Baby and DistroKid. I'll tell you the two examples. TuneCore is a little bit different how they go about adding it. They add it at the end, which is kind of weird. I remember setting something up mock wise, and then I'm like, where do you add the credits? And then it's like at the end. So when you're going through DistroKid and you fill out everything, basically, so you always want to make sure two things when you fill out metadata. The producer's name supposed to be in the songwriting part too. And when
Okay.
you do put the producer's name in there, then you definitely make sure that you put their full real name.
Yeah, that's the
Don't
full actual name, not
Yeah,
the, because that's where the other part comes in for the credits. It's a different
exactly.
section.
So one, when you're doing the whole, it's just DistroKid makes it very, very linear of how you add everything. So you add the title, you add the cover art, you add, if you do want to, like what I've been doing, adding myself as an artist too, even though I'm a producer, I add myself as an artist to get both songs on both people's Spotify's. So that's just another trick that you could do with DistroKid. You don't have to put it as a feature. You could definitely do it as a collab. They actually let you do collabs at it. So the feature would just say feature artist on there. So it would say, oh, song on Spotify would say also songs featured with, and it was so like that.
Yeah.
But if you do as the collab, both artists could have their Spotify, the song on both their Spotify's and both their Apple Music. So that's just a trick for DistroKid. But as you go down and you keep on and you go to songwriter, you add, the songwriter says lyrics, and then maybe you add the producer that says music. And you go all the way down and it's fine, and you hit submit. Now, at the end of submit, it says, do you want to add credits, right? And then at the end of credits, that's when you add to producer. It is really weird how they do that too.
Yeah, because I feel
Because
like people wouldn't even know that that's there if they don't actually stop and read. Because soon as they hit submit, they're like, okay, I'm done.
yeah, it says submit done. Thank you for whatever. And it says, and it's a little tiny thing that says add credits, whatever. And this is where you add the producer, because when you add the producer, basically what you do is it says song credits, and you can add, and then you put in probably, let's just say me, Diggy Diamond, and you'll have a tab, and it says mixed by, produced by, exclusive producer, like it has a producer, engineer, whatever, 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 and it says, oh, okay, basically, is he a producer? Is he a exclusive producer? and it will have those like topics and then subtopics, and then you add it and then you save it, and that's when you now have that metadata for the producer on the credits. So you have to wait until the end of that one.
So make sure to just read everything before you X out. It's really
Yeah,
important just to
exactly.
slow down and double check everything that you're doing.
And I'm sure it's a YouTube video on how to add credits on DistroKid. So I wouldn't put it past anybody. Like if you really want to know how to add the credits or whatever, I appreciate you do. If you just again business etiquette or
Right.
relationship etiquette, just to do that. If you don't know, then either ask somebody that does know, or ask the producer or research. That's how we all learn.
Right.
So
Because
for
nobody's going to
that.
know the producer by their real name unless their producer name is their real name. They're not going to know who the fuck that is.
Unless you're doing business as a DBA or LLC, you should never. I mean, even that, you still have to use your legal name when you're registering, or like when you're making a business like a LLC or a DBA. You still got to use your real name to do the registration part, right? So, I mean, come on, that's the thing. And I know a lot of people still struggle. Like, even okay, I want to add my producer, but I don't know his real name. If you have that relationship with the producer, definitely try to see if they feel comfortable getting their real name. If they don't, then that's on them, and they shouldn't be so standoffish because you're trying to pay them at the end of the day. Because
Exactly.
metadata is very important for publishing too. Let you know, because when people have to reference shit, excuse my language, they gotta look at the metadata too.
Yeah. Oh, and that was the other thing I was gonna pull up. I'm back on the interview screen, by the way, Diggy, so they can see you now. Just
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
FYI. But I wanted to point out because Keith made a point too that metadata needs to go further than just like the places that you're uploading it to. It also needs to be embedded in your file. So if you're not
Yeah,
sure how to do that, when you save a file on your computer, you need to right click on it and go to the properties. Once you're in the properties, you can fill out all the information of the metadata. And you know what that does is when you burn that to a CD or you do something, that's what your car reads in order to tell you what's on the CD, what the title name is, what your artist name is, how long is the song, all of that shit. So
yeah,
that is also important. You should take the time to enter that information because if you send that information off to like CD Baby and stuff, it's going to make it a lot easier for them to have all the correct information when they press your CD too.
of course. And actually, so I have my other placement opportunity that strict about metadata. They are legitly, they do not want to submit anything in their music library for people to use, so for companies to use their music unless the metadata is correct. So with that being said, the process I do with mine is iTunes has a definitely, and iTunes like the actual iTunes player, not iTunes. But when you use the iTunes program, the app, they definitely have a thing where you can fill in the metadata and you can embed it. You don't have to change it to AIFF file, but when you do change that metadata and you bounce it back out, import it, like you import it as a wave, it will stick. I think that's what Savvy does. I think Savvy, I gotta ask Savvy because he definitely had the metadata where he had the cover and everything to that. But I think Savvy maybe imports it like that, and that will stick forever. And
Right.
then you can send that out to whatever.
And that's a
So
really good way to just make sure that people also know that that's your shit. Because once you
yeah,
put that information in there, they cannot change it based on the permissions of the file. And that gets into a little bit more of like computer security and file security and stuff. But it's important because you don't want anybody to be able to manipulate that information. You want it to
yeah,
stay belonging to you. So that is just something else. And if you're not as computer savvy, you might not understand how to do that. That's where you can hit me up because I know how to do that shit. But
definitely.
it's one of those extra steps that protects you as an artist because then it will literally be registered to the computer where you probably created it as well. Timestamps and everything are all embedded into that file.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's what you want. And even if it is manipulated, the raw, hardcore metadata will stay in there. When you deep dive in it, it will stay. And you will know who the originator of it. It will always have the originator person that started it. So
Yep. Okay, so Robert has a question. Diggy, are you satisfied with the slideshows that we did? Are you good? Just want to do questions
oh
from
yeah,
now
yeah,
to
we're
the
good.
end?
Yeah, we're good on that. I'm hopefully everybody again, you guys could take that. You can email me about it too, but I'm definitely good with the slideshows. Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to leave the floor open right now for questions. Literally anything that you have a question about that maybe you're not sure, there's no dumb questions. So, Robert Anderson asked, what do you think about registering your music with Music Brains? I've done it, and it's a good way to expand my digital imprint.
Yes, I think that's good. And the point, if you're not releasing anything, because again, is multiple ways how to make some metadata stick in things. We just talked about one way. If you're doing DistroKid or any other distributor, that's another way to stick your metadata, because now they have their metadata not only for their system, but it's also gonna be put to the masses, and that will always be set for them. So the thing that he's talking about, I have used it before. It's definitely great because, again, if you're not setting if you're not setting any distributing for your song yet, and you just want to have it in the space of online, just to have it set for that. So when you do, it's all set. No, it's no mess ups, no, whatever. Then yeah, you should do that. I think that's great.
And I've never heard of that before. What is it?
It's basically it helps. It's like an imprint, so a mixed ID. So basically, it's like a ID imprint to fill all that stuff out. So you can make sure that no matter where it goes, it's gonna have that same. If you alter it, you can't mess it up. Like somebody can try to do something, but it's always gonna have that instilled metadata too. So I think that's just another way that you could put in metadata. What if you didn't know about the iTunes way? If you're not trying to distribute it, because most people don't like. I'm not ready to distribute it yet, but I may want to use it as a demo on SoundCloud, or I may want to put it in this entity where people could like play it. But you're scared because you don't want somebody to try to rip it off somewhere and change the metadata. That's the last thing you want. So definitely, it's like I said, it's more ways to put it in there, but that's a good way.
I got you. So, while we're waiting for questions, if anybody does have any other questions, Diggy, what would you give some starter advice to someone who's just getting ready to start distributing and registering their music?
Yeah, so I would definitely, when you have a finished product, just make sure that you register with a pro. That's just make sure you already register with a pro, honestly. Like even before you even start music. I think the first thing a lot of people miss is registering with a pro. So if you think about being a producer or artist, before you even, always got to get your bearings on what your art is. That's very important too. That's one side of the music. It's the business side and the artistry side. So as you're working on that artistry, I think a lot of people need to start off with registering with BMI or ascap, one or the other, and make sure that you are fully set in that type of thing. Next thing is the mechanical royalties. It's kind of situational because it's people like rock bands that may not, even though everything is digital and digital is a big part now and everything, but it is not always necessary needed for mechanicals, because a lot of people make, as you see the rates, a lot of people make way more money just doing performance stuff, and they are fully happy not trying to put their stuff on distributing. So if you are interested in putting in like the traditional rapper, singer, all that stuff, then yeah, sign up with a mechanical society. Now, as I said, MLC is now free. It is a government-owned organization. So now, if you want to, it is no excuse. It is technically no excuse why you shouldn't register yourself with them. You're not owned by them. They don't own your music. All they do is just making sure you get paid. So everybody should put your stuff in the MLC. Look for stuff that you may not even know that had a Isrc number, or maybe a song that you did. They go back. They said they go back. Their database goes back 10 years. So
Wow.
maybe you had that old song. Yeah, exactly. Maybe you had that old song that was like, oh man, this thing is crap. I just put it up there. I'm never gonna, whatever. You didn't even know it's still on Spotify. You didn't even know it was on Apple iTunes or whatever before they made it to Apple Music. Maybe it was on iTunes. You never even know, right? Maybe you distributed to CD Baby, you forgot about it. But it goes back that long. So if you're looking for the unclaimed ones and you find it, why not claim it? Even and then if it already made royalties, you get the royalties. If it made this, it's like on the table, now you get to collect it. So that's another thing too. So I think everybody should be a part of a pro and join this MLC collective, because that would be important. And then after that, I mean, pick a distributor, and it's like I said, it's like McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King.
Right.
It all depends on preference,
They all do the
honestly. At the
same
end of the
thing.
day, you're
Okay,
right.
so we have a question from Bree. She asked, we actually have two questions in there. So the first one
Cool.
is leasing a beat okay? What if it blows up like Lil Nas X? And I just want to point out before you answer this, Diggy, is it really all depends on what the agreement was that you and the producer had. And I think that
Yeah,
is probably the basis of that whole thing. If you're, you know, there, you've if you're going to do that, make sure that the producer has a contract to cover those those particular aspects?
Yes. So with leasing, it's the person is paying for a license to make a master copy. That's it. When people buy beats, leasing or even exclusive, and this is where the gray area is with producers. They don't say exclusive lease, they say exclusive rights, and then that's the whole thing. Why are you saying exclusive rights and you're supposed to give me the rights? No. How it's supposed to be is exclusive lease or leasing. You're buying a master copy. I mean, buying a lease to make a master copy. As for right, you will pay for that copy to make it. So you don't have to pay the producer if you don't want to. If you want to, you can. If you do not want to, that's fine. Because again, you pay for that master. Remember, master royalties is in a whole different ball game than the performance and the mechanical. That is intellectual property. So if you made a master copy, you put it on Spotify, Apple Music, and whatever, and you get your DistroKid, CD Baby, and TuneCore money. That's fine. The producer can't be mad. He got front money to pay for that license,
Exactly.
so he can make a master. Yeah, you make a master copy. Now when you're trying to put that on a TV show, now when you're trying to get that mechanical from the MLC, when you try to do all the other stuff for the intellectual property, you wasn't part of that intellectual property all the way. You was part of the lyrics. Now you have to pay the melody side to the producer. That's where people get mixed up. Now, like, oh man, and then again, you get the agreements that says you're allowed to make 50,000 in movie. I mean, on radio and 100K and what. It's a little confusing with that. That's a whole other topic. I'm not gonna get.
Is buying exclusive possibly the better of the two, because you're giving producer the upfront money, and then really you can at that point too decide if you also want to pay royalties, because if it does blow up, it would be nice to be able to do that. But that's why sometimes you see big exclusive prices for beats. Not always. And not always in the local scene either. But if you're trying to hit up like Kato on the track, he might charge you $3,000 for an exclusive.
Oh yeah, and then it'd be worth it, because all he would ask for, if anything, be credit. And we all know giving credit doesn't pay the producer, but it's very nice for their portfolio. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So
let's see. We have a couple more questions came in. Taz asked, which one would you recommend, BMI or ASCAP, and why?
All right. So if you're really
in short term, so we can get a couple more questions in too.
Okay. I mean, I'm a BMI, but I also have Song Trust as a publisher administrator. So they take care of my publishing. And like I said before, that if you're not a publisher on BMI, you do not get your publishing royalties. You have to be a publisher. So if you're big about publishing, join ASCAP, because you could be a publisher and a songwriter. So.
Okay. Michael Washington asked, I have a beat used as an intro for weekly podcast. How do I get the Isrc so I can get paid?
That's good. So my question would be, is that so he said that he submitted to that. They had a so I got to know the inside of that, because it always is a story before that happened, meaning that so he just uploaded it to a website that took it for that, or like I got to know more information about that, because if you're using, like I just said, if you're having a music library that is for businesses that are taking music from there and using it for other entities or businesses, then music library, whoever you make the agreement with, should be paying you, because that's the deal that you guys came about.
Right.
I got to know more, because did he just send it to a podcast and they're using it? So now that's be considered, in a sense, not traditional radio, but it was used for Spotify and stuff like that. It has to be an entity, a liaison, to collect money for him to get paid. So, and then even to that, it has an Isrc number, of course, but what was uploaded first? Like, I got to know what, because remember, you have to upload it. You either got to buy an Isrc number and print it with the song, or you're putting it in a distributing thing so they can make one for you. So that would be interesting. I got to get more information.
So maybe, and I think you have, I was going to say, I think you have Michael Washington on your friends list. He's from the Producer's Corner. I'm pretty sure you do.
Cool.
Okay, so Michelle Gonzalez asked, so when you get ASCAP, you get paid every time when your music is played, ? That's how she worded that.
Question mark. It was put in the entity that will pay you. So if your music's on radio, by law, they have to pay you. If your music is a theme song for the Kardashians, Keep It Up with the Kardashians, yes, they have to pay you. It has to be, even though it is good to make sure your music is registered with BMI or ASCAP, but remember that is not the end all be all.
No,
It's making sure that that's set so you, when you do have these opportunities, they will pay you. They know who to look for to pay you. So
that was an easy one.
yeah,
I think you answered all the questions that I saw in the chat now. Cause
I
what
need
she
more.
her I know, right? Like take advantage of this time. She did say she followed up with my ex has ASCAP, but he's lazy and doesn't do anything with his music anymore. And you can't like if you there's no excuse for being lazy because as an independent artist, you have to do the work. Unless you have enough money to pay somebody else to do the work, you have to
Right.
do the work.
You have to. And even when I say that too, I tell people understand what they're doing because you never know that person, God forbid, dies. You never know that person's trying to steal your money. Anything. You need to understand. Just ask a question. Again, don't be afraid. At the end of the day, it's your music. It's your work. Why would you not ask a question?
Exactly. Because if you're not sure, if we don't know, we'll research it and find out for you. Like
Right.
that's why this is a really good opportunity. And there's other people here that have been really helping in the chat too. Robert's been answering some questions and Karen's been posting some stuff too. So I do actually really appreciate that because I can't always keep track of everybody. So it's nice when other people are kind of adding in there.
Definitely.
You know, we're all here to kind of help one another. So
Right,
it's
because I don't know everything, and I know enough to get by and help out other artists. But like I said, my mentor is Professional Pooch, and every time I feel like I'm stuck on something, like this guy, he has an answer for everything, and everything he answers for me makes sense. I'm like, wow, why didn't I even think about that? He's like, it's just
yeah.
it is. You have to be in experiences, situations to know, and sometimes you got to be like, oh man, I did the wrong way to know what not to do. So
Right. And Keith just made a really good point. He said this work is not easy. I can't tell you how many times I've hit up Diggy and I'm just like, what the fuck do I do? Like, what is this? Why am I not doing this? Or, like just so confusing. And so we know that you guys need help, which is why we set up live streams like this to give you the opportunity to all converge together, ask questions. You don't have to feel dumb for asking questions that you might feel like are dumb because we all been there at one point. So,
yeah,
it's don't ever feel scared to ask a question. And again, if we don't know the answer, my point is I usually hit up Diggy if I don't know the answer. If I
yeah.
or I hit up Savvy or I hit up, somebody else that I know and I trust to be able to help with this, or I hit up Robert, or I hit this person and that person, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Because the to be honest, a lot of the questions sometimes are situational. You
A
know,
lot of them. A lot of them.
so
And there's a
it
lot
really
of situations. There's a lot of entanglements. There's a lot of bullshit that be happening. And y'all
correct.
already know.
Right, exactly. It was just easy. It would just be like I publish my music, I put it on radio or TVs, I put it on Spotify, Apple Music, and then I get paid. No, because it's always some other artist, some songwriter. Oh, I got finally signed, yay! And then it's like, well, we own your music. What? Hey, why? Because I just gave you $1 million. Okay, cool, but I still want. Well, that's what you signed for. You sign us to own all your stuff, even your publishing, and we give you $1 million. But that's not how it should work. It shouldn't work like that. But you know what? You should have known what you signed up for. So I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
So it's everything is situational. Everybody has their own situation. So it's sometimes I'd be like, oh, but you said this, Diggy. But if you working with this person or you have this entity or you whatever, then yes, it's not like that. It's actually changed to this, and it's yeah, it gets confusing sometimes. So I'm here to help.
He
So
is. Hit him up anytime. He's the best. He literally will answer anybody. Super helpful. Just get ready for a phone call because all this talking stuff does not work very well over text or do voice, whatever. So if you're in
yeah,
here, somebody just asked right now how they can be notified the next time I come live. If you type in the chat !notify and hit enter, it will automatically give you notifications for the stream any other time I go live. Just remember, I don't only do the talk portion, I also do music reviews and other stuff. So you just have to kind of figure out what day it is and what I'm doing. It'll be in the description. But yes, type in !notify and hit enter, and you should get something on your screen that says that you'll be notified anytime that I go live moving forward. So my question is, Diggy, before we go, and this is a question for the chat as well, is there any other topics that you feel like we should set aside to maybe talk about on another day?
the business etiquette part, because I think a lot of questions is situational. I think it's like, well, if you have 5 songwriters, how do I do the song splits? If I'm buying a beat from a producer, should I have to pay him? Stuff like that. I think those situations are very important too, because a lot of the problems, I'm not going to say like everybody's trying to get out for somebody, but a lot of the issues stem from not being knowledgeable about it. And some people try to research it and they got bad information, because there's a lot of bad information online, and they do it wrong, and somebody's like, hey, why'd you do it this way? It's like, well, this is what I heard. That's not how you do it. But it's like they stem off from it's already being wrong to looking at it from the standpoint like, he or she didn't know, so take a chill pill, educate them,
Right.
and fix it up. So I think, yeah, business etiquette maybe should be the next topic in a sense.
And I think that's a good one. I think too often there's misunderstandings between people, just like you said. But the other part of it is you cannot go into a situation with somebody who may know a lot more about a situation than you do and have a certain type of attitude, because it is a huge turnoff to somebody who takes their business seriously. And I can't stress that enough. That
Yeah,
you cannot go in and be like, well, I already know everything, blah, 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 blah. Like, you have to go into with an open mind, willing to learn something that you might not know already.
definitely. That's definitely. And you could definitely agree to this, Holly. I'm the most humble person, even though you guys tell me I'm so dope and hot, and I'm a good producer, whatever. I humble myself every time, because it's gonna be someone that I'm gonna work with, and even though I may know something, they could still teach me something. I'm like, oh, I didn't know I should do that, or I could do that, or something. So even to me, I may know a lot about music publishing, but again, situational wise, hey, I put my music on here and that helps with that. Oh, you know what? That's good for my situation. I should start doing that. You just
Right.
taught me something,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Because we all still have things to learn. Because music changes literally every year, every month, damn near every week. We're always
For
going
real.
to end up finding something that has changed. So we had 2 more questions come in.
Of course.
Bree just asked, is it best to take upfront money and no royalties if the amount is generous?
It is always good to take upfront money and no royalties, but just let you know the backlash of that, they're gonna own your music, because they're basically paying for ownership. Nobody's gonna give you any large amount of lump sum for, I didn't say forever now, because like I said with the Adobe thing, they're only owning it for a year. And if I continue to want to work with them on that thing, I'll re-sign a contract. But anybody that's gonna pay upfront money, it is a rare thing that they're gonna give you royalties. If they say, hey, I want to give you $10,000 for this song for my business or whatever, here it is. It would be good to have it in contract if they're a smart business. But basically, if they do have a contract, in that contract, they were all gonna say we're gonna have ownership. We are paying $10,000, the sum of such and such and such, for the master ownership of
Yep.
such and such and such.
And if
And
you
that's how.
don't understand business contracts, don't fucking read it and then just be like,
Of
boop, boop,
course.
boop, this sounds good. I see money and I see zeros. Go, honestly, if you can afford to pay a lawyer to read something, do it. Find
Yes.
somebody, find a music business lawyer or someone that has experience in that has proven reviews, everything, to just take a second to read the contract and explain it to you in layman's terms. I know that seems like a lot, but in the end, you could really get fucked over if you don't understand business terms or a term that's in there that you're not really sure exactly what it means, because they literally write these contracts in that way to sometimes dupe people. And
Yeah.
so you have to be very, very careful. And Robert Anderson said, if you see the words in perpetuity, run. He said run. I think that's what, I don't know what. See, and that's a word I don't know. So I would have to look that up, because if I
Um,
did see that, I
I guess
wouldn't know what it
maybe
meant.
it's perpetually, because
It,
perpetual means forever on. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So it means continuously and on forever. Okay, got it.
yeah.
So we got another question from KL. He said, "What's the advantage of using digital distributors, etc., like distro or examples, DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby, as opposed to uploading your content yourself to each of the music sites that they do?"
So meaning that, what's the difference between actually using a distributor to send your music off to them, or actually like having your own site that you're playing your music and actually people for downloading it?
I
That's what I just want to
I
understand.
think that's what he meant. I think
Okay.
that's what he meant, because it said as
Yeah.
opposed to uploading your content yourself. Or maybe he means individually uploading it to each one of these, because I don't know if you can use more than one distributor at a time.
You can, but then yet the thing about it is you don't want to have, if you use CD Baby and TuneCore and DistroKid for the exact same song and it's already in the space that it has an ISRC number,
Then
that
you
ISRC number stays forever.
okay,
So
okay.
it's probably gonna make a duplicate, and most likely it's gonna probably knock it off. Like, hey, you already have this distributed, bro. We need
Right.
to make a new master copy, so you can
Oh,
have a new ISRC number. You better call this the remix,
yeah,
So
something. Okay, so let's assume that he meant maybe the latter then. So he said letting them send your music to the sites instead of you sending it yourself. That's what he just
okay,
clarified.
yes, I see. So um, if you want to, so that's actually a good question because it is ways to actually have it submitted for yourself. Those ways are tedious because not to say you have to have someone inside for Spotify and stuff like that, but you need to have a company that distributes or a way to send it off. So the biggest thing is right now is what would be the way and what would be the company to help you do that? Because you want to have, like I said, again, DistroKid says they don't own none of your masters and they give you 100% of royalties. That's what DistroKid says. So even using DistroKid, if you use them to do all this, then fine. Then they're gonna give you back the royalties, the master royalties, 100%. They're not taking a cut, and there shouldn't be no backlash from that. Other companies, they kind of do. Some CDB, I know they take a cut depending on what service you go for them. DistroKid, I know they take a cut, but DistroKid is not. Um, but if you was to just upload it yourself, Spotify almost was going to come out with that whole program where they was going to let people upload their own song for that. The problem is, once you do that, who's responsible for paying you directly? Spotify. And they did not want that because that is a whole other thing right there. Now they gotta not only be responsible for the music they put on their platform, now they gotta have an accountant or some kind of accounting like section or whatever that people that take care of those royalty cuts and pay them. Nah, they didn't want to do all that. So it is entities that to help you just directly put it in there, but usually those entities are music labels or some independent music labels, and you know what happens with those, and that's just the point blank of it.
Sure.
So
Okay, James has another question, and this is actually a really good question. I was going to ask this earlier, but I kind of forgot about it. He
cool.
said, if you do a song with another artist, can they
Okay.
upload the track on a streaming site in your name? Like, because think about it. Let me like let me extend on that a little bit because
Okay.
my question is so I have a song. It's the song that I bought the beat for, that I did all this.
Yes.
Um, does it automatically create, because I know this is a weird thing too. If somebody doesn't have a YouTube for music, YouTube creates one for you as soon as somebody identifies you as an artist on their, credit or their team or whatever the case is, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you use any distributor to and YouTube is the option to distribute music on their platform, what happens is CD Baby, TuneCore, and DistroKid all have their YouTube pages set. So if you don't have a music channel for your music, it will go to their page just to have the metadata set to credit the right person.
Which you
So
can
that's how
claim,
that works.
and you need to
Yes,
claim. If
yes.
you do not have your YouTube page claimed, you need to claim it and merge it with your music page that you already have, which you can do. Just
Do
FYI.
DistroKid, do YouTube, do what like all the distributing sites let you claim your music page, and it's not like you have to make a whole new page. You can claim your music
The
page
page.
and infuse it with a YouTube page you already have. I already have that already. So from there, now anything that's distributed will go straight to your page automatically.
Yeah. So, but back to that question
Yes,
specifically,
okay,
um, if if you and someone else are on a track, because I think this is what he's getting at. If you and someone else
okay.
are on a track, is only one person supposed to upload it, or is the other person supposed to upload it, or is this registering it through BMI and getting their numbers and stuff take care of all that for them?
Cool. So yeah, it is a good question because this is what I have to do with the business etiquette of the part. So again, communication is key. So if you're in the situation of if you guys are working together, everything needs to be discussed, all the split sheets, all the contracts, everything needs to be discussed before whoever puts it in the air. But if you're selling a beat, like a producer, and the artist puts up the song, whatever. Um, and the producer shouldn't feel no way because that person brought the lease to make the master to put it up there. That's fine. But even to that, if the producer puts the song, even if it took it from the artist and puts the song on their page or whatever, it's like it's not good business etiquette because again, all you have to do is let the person know before you do that. But also, it's like, well, you're getting the credit, man. I'm giving you the credit, and it's like, yeah, I did everything right. I put it up there, but again, you have to respect the artistry for the artist because maybe the artist wasn't ready for that song to be put up at that time. Even if they put it up there, yet maybe they already want one source of all the royalties to go on that source so they could get paid and everybody gets paid accordingly. Because remember, it's like if you put a post up there and you advertise it and you try to get money for the advertisement, but that same person rips that video and puts it on their page. You're not getting paid for that advertisement. That's a whole new video that they put on their page. Like, and then you look at it like, okay, thank you for shouting me out, but I'd rather you bring the fans to the original advertised video.
Right.
So in that sense, it's kind of like that. Like you don't know what the artist.
Disservice almost.
Right, it does a disservice, even though you think morally you're doing it right. But again, that's why business etiquette is sometimes the moral and the business don't always match. You know, everybody has their morals and personal morals and the society things, but business sometimes kind of negates that a little bit like that, you know, because you think you're doing the right thing, which is fine. I'm like, yeah, I'm giving the guy credit. But again, we all know credits don't pay the person.
Correct. Okay, so Bree asked, and this is a good question too. This actually happened to somebody that just had a similar artist name, which is super important when you decide to pick your artist name. People, I think, really just kind of rush when they're picking their artist name. You should do research before you pick your artist name because you don't know how many other people have that artist name. You could even go as far as trademarking, right? I think it's trademarking your artist name, so that way nobody else can claim it. But you have to be very particular because you don't know how many other people out there have it, and then you would also have to serve cease and desist if you decided to actually trademark. I believe that's correct because you can actually. That actually happened to a producer. His name was Tone Deaf Cuts, but there was somebody out there with a very similar name, and he was served cease and desist to not use that particular name because he had it trademarked. But the question is, TuneCore put my album on someone else's YouTube. How do I get it taken down and placed on mine? I know with DistroKid, you can just send them an email and tell them that this is registered to the incorrect artist. I don't know about TuneCore. Do you know, Diggy?
Yeah, so TuneCore should have that same similar thing. If they should have as a DistroKid says, the fixer. They have a fixer where you do it. If you can actually hit up TuneCore directly, and it should you should be able to email them, or if it's Spotify or Apple Music, because it happened to me and Taki's thing. I guess his name Taki Brand. I guess it's another Taki Brand. Oh no, they actually added it to a whole new artist page. So it was a whole new artist page that they made for him. I don't know why. So he actually hit up Spotify directly because you can if you they have the FAQ and they say if you believe your thing's on the wrong page, hit this link and you go through the process. But you can hit up Spotify directly, and probably Apple Music too, directly. And I'll give you the links if you need to. Just hit me up. About fixing the page. It's always fixable. Especially it's always fixable. Yeah, it is. And they always will tell you to go through the distributor first because there's the ones that did it for you. But I do know, like I said, me and Taki put it out there. They put a whole new artist page out there. Me and Jasmine's song, they had me as a whole new page. I don't know why. I was like, you guys have me at Diggy Diamond. And very important. Okay, this is actually a good question. And now remind me. Please make sure you spell the name exactly how you have it in every song distributor you do. And key example, the reason why they made a new page for my song for me and Jasmine, because Jasmine didn't capitalize the D in Diamond.
Yeah, and it can be that minute of a thing. If you don't keep a space or have no spaces, like Nuance the Artist is all one word. right?
Yes.
And I fucked that up. He pointed that out to me, and I actually messed it up because, well, there was spaces. Don't get me wrong, there was spaces on the cover art, but the album. I mean, the artist name was correct when I submitted it, but the album cover art I fucked up. I didn't put I left the spaces in. But he was already on my team, so it was registered correctly the way it was supposed to be. So that is super important. Like, y'all have to literally be that meticulous when it comes to it, because you could be fucking over. You wouldn't even know it until the person was like, "Where the fuck is this song? Why is it on my shit?"
For real, it's real. And then like, the thing with me and Savvy, I don't. He hasn't figured it out yet. On Apple Music, every time we do a collab, they put it on this other Savvy person, and I think it's because he has an accent mark on the A.
Yep.
They just automatically assume that's that person. So I think we have to put it without the accent mark, because that person gets it all the time.
And he changed it. I think he said that he changed it because because of that exact reason. Okay, so that was a good answer. I hope you guys got all of that. But again, this will be available for feedback. Bree asked, if I change my artist name, how do I still keep my old artist music intact with my new name? That's a really good question, and honestly, I haven't actually got an answer for that. I don't know. I don't think you can.
The answer is the end all be all answer that people don't like. Take it down. That's the only way.
But can they re-upload it? Because my question is, they should be able to upload it with the new artist name, shouldn't they? But it's gonna, or will it not? Because it might hit on platforms.
So I'm going to test this trick out, and if everybody tested it out, and you add me and just message me, because I'm gonna test it out on one of my stuff. It was a guy that said that as long as you have the Isrc number for that release, and you take your music down, and when you redistribute it, and they ask you, do you have an Isrc number, and you put it back up there, it should count. It should bring you back your streams that you had, one, and two, that if you change at least the title or the name of the artist, it should automatically put it back to where like it never got released, it never got deleted at all. Yeah. So I haven't tested that theory. I'm going to test it with one of my tracks. But if anybody tested it, let me know, because I want to actually know that too. But the end all be all answer will be, you gotta take it down. And maybe some distributors let you change a couple of things. Like I had to change one of my beat tapes. Now this is what I call beats, but I forgot the S. I just had beat. So they let me change the title, and they updated it to Spotify, and they changed it for me. But the artist thing is very important, because not only is for their metadata and they create a page for it, it's also important for, again, royalty use too, because they want to make sure, at least for the artist wise, that they're matching everything that fits for it too. So it's just better to take it down, honestly. But
yeah, I had a couple artists that ran into that. So, because Bree said, "Thank you, I'm looking to change my name. Too many Brees in the world." It can be, and that again, it goes back to like when you're first starting all this, and you're like, "Okay, I want to be a singer, or I want to be a rapper." Take the time. Like if I would have, because here, think about it. My name is Lyrically Poetic. That shit is a fucking mouthful, and there's a ton of it. I mean, as far as I know of on Spotify, if you type in Lyrically Poetic, I'm the only one that comes up, which is dope. But there's a lot of LPs, so I was like, okay, maybe I should change my name to what my childhood nickname was, which was Poindexter. I have not seen that anywhere, and it's kind of, I actually haven't really like searched it, but at the same time, it's a little bit more unique than Lyrically Poetic or LP. LP is actually like a rock band. If you search that on YouTube, you don't find me. You find this white dude with long hair, and it's not me. And then you also have LP, EL, and then P, which is like I think he's a Mexican rapper. He's a Hispanic rapper.
Really?
So, yeah. So it's like you really have to try to be creative. Take the time to really put an effort into your artist name.
Definitely. When you search me, I have someone in Europe that has Diamond Diggy, and he's a rapper. He's been rapping for like 15 years. But
you
lot of tracks.
To serve that cease and stop issue to that motherfucker to be like, no, we taking over, bro.
It's funny because I have my name trademark, but I was like, dang, can I really do that? Because he has Diamond Diggy, and it's not really Diggy Diamond. It's a whole switch up, but it's like he just raps, and he hasn't had no music like maybe in 5 years. So I'm like, I don't want. He's in a whole different country. I could do it, but does it really matter? So.
Right. You want to be super petty or not? But I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it. I get it. But yeah, I mean, I think we answered most. Let me look back here and see if anybody else answered any questions or asked any more questions. These were really, really good questions, guys.
Yeah.
Just to put that out there. There's a lot of really good information. If you came in late on the stream, this is definitely a stream to go back. We pushed it over a little bit over 2 hours, but I think it was worth it because we were answering questions. And those are a lot of questions that I normally see people asking about. So please make sure you send me an inbox to my Holly McKillop page if you would like me to send the email to you with all of the documents. A couple people have sent a message already, and I will be, as soon as this is over, I'm going to email you guys the documents out. Diggy, anything else you want to contribute before we end the stream today?
Look, anybody that wants to know more information, I'm really open and free to answer any questions. So don't feel afraid to hit me up. We could talk, we could chat. I'll help you out. I don't charge people for free information that's already out there. Every information I get, I read a book, I look on YouTube, I do my research. So if I get it for free, I'm gonna give it for free. The only thing I charge for is ever if I have to actually do something to register or to submit or for opportunity wise. If I have to put in actual work, yeah, I'll charge. Of course, I'm actually taking the time to do it. But for just talking wise, I know that the game's supposed to be sold, not told. Yeah, okay, great. Everybody has
Whatever.
their own ways how to do that.
We
But
don't got time
that's
for
just
that.
not me.
We can sit
Yeah,
here and this is all from our own experiences. That's why I don't feel like we will never charge you for information. What we will
no,
charge you for is when we have to do work for you, and that's fair. You know what I mean? I feel like that's fair. If we have to go and say, okay, I need to hold your hand to do this, or I'm gonna, that's when it gets into it. But you pay for it, then you learn and you get the knowledge on how to actually do it. We walk you through it. We answer questions. We give you that customer service that you're, the reason why you're paying for it like that.
yeah,
When it's more one-on-one and more personal, time is valuable. And it is what it is. Sometimes you are, I mean, in the end, we're teaching you how to fish.
right. Right, exactly. Now you want me to fish for you for that good old meal of salmon or whatever. Yeah, if I got the tricks to get it, then yeah, I'll teach you my tricks. It doesn't mean it's gonna work for you all the time, but here, I'll teach you how to do it. If you want me to do it for you, okay, well, $5. So,
Yeah, exactly. And then Masim said she wants to bring me on the show. Absolutely. Just let me know when. I just want to let you guys know too. I'm finally going to be opening up interviews and starting artist showcase again. Those are all services that I offer, and my Calendly link will be up on the website tomorrow. So you guys will be able to, and I suggest if you want to get down, you better start booking. And because it's gonna get busy real quick. It's first come, first serve. Okay. There's different services that are up there for you guys to choose from, and I'm sure Diggy, we could probably add something to your site too, where you can offer your one-on-one stuff for artist development and information, which I'm sure you do already. I just don't know if you have it anywhere right now.
nah, I would say any source that help me outsource, I'm all for it. Definitely.
Yeah, well, I can hook you up. I'm gonna show you Calendly because it's really dope. You can integrate your PayPal into it and everything. But
Yeah.
it's super nice and really convenient because people can literally just go to it and book themselves. You choose when your availability is, and they just take care of it all right there.
Wow. See, there you
Yeah.
go. Something I know I learned. Look at this. I didn't even know that. See?
Yep.
Great.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we're going to end it here. Diggy, I want to say thank you so much for giving your time today, 2 hours and almost 30 minutes of your time to everybody who came on and wants to learn something. Make sure that you guys, again, DM me. Diggy, go ahead and do your outro. Make sure they know where to follow you and all that.
Diggy Diamond, Facebook, Diggy Diamond, IG, Diggy Diamond, TikTok, Diggy Diamond, website,
Literally
Diggy Diamond.
everything.
It's that easy.
That is a perfect branding, by the way. This is a great
Yeah.
example of perfect branding. Everything is the same on every platform.
Every platform. Just don't Google me. You'll see all my stuff. Every single thing, even my website. I think the website is the first, or the Facebook, but everything to TikTok to IG to YouTube will all have my stuff in it. My Spotify, even to that, I claim my knowledge panel for Google. A lot of people don't know about the knowledge panel for
I'm
claiming.
still waiting for them to respond to my email. I've been waiting to claim my Google panel, and they still haven't got back to me yet.
What? Bug them. Bug them.
Yeah.
They'll do it. Just bug them. Just bug the crap out of them because they definitely think.
Let's talk about that next time too. Let's talk about how to claim panels, Spotify profiles, YouTube profiles, and we're gonna do a live demonstration of how to go through that process. Good idea, right?
Yes, let's do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Shit.
All right. So maybe we'll plan that for next Sunday. I think that'll be a good topic.
Okay. Great.
Awesome. Yay, Diggy, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody out in the chat. You guys were freaking awesome. Make sure you share this, and this will be up for review whenever you need it. I would really, really ask that you guys go watch this on the YouTube. I got to get my 4,000 watch hours. Okay, guys? And this is the video that's going to do it. Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right, guys. I hope you have a good rest of your day. This was the Sunday Sit Down with the Eargasm and Diggy Diamond.